Not going to lie, I was walking to the studio this morning and thought to myself, well, Mark Dykton being in regular season form, are we going to get a Micah Abraham scoop and score highlight? Are we going to get a big catch from DJ Montgomery down the field? A Matt Gay field goal? Nothing?
I thought about it, and I'm like, do I really want to do that to myself on the first preseason game?
How about a Matt Gay missed field goal?
Saving us for the joint practices here, Mark?
I mean, it was a barn burner, that's for sure, if you had the over.
Easily the highest opening weekend score of any preseason game.
Who didn't have the over in the Colts
and Broncos. Hammer the over.
What was the over, like 28?
Who knows?
It couldn't have been close to what it actually ended up being.
You were eclipsing that, I think, at halftime on Sunday. A good Monday morning to you. We are recapping a football game, albeit if Mark Dykton would have created a highlight reel. Not a lot from the starting units, especially offensively. We'll recap that today. Joe Wright, who you heard him on these airwaves. For the radio call, you'll hear him all preseason long. He's going to join us coming up a little bit later. Obviously, a little Olympics we still need to talk to as well. But again, a good Monday morning to you. A little chill in the air, kind of a crispy start to this Monday morning.
Well,
here.
I know. I even brought out the sweatshirt today walking to the car. It's 50 degrees out, my man. It's football weather. Feeling good.
Great. You know, you open up that front door, and usually I'm like, damn, I'm already sweating by the time I get to the car. It feels great on this Monday morning. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Again, this is the Wake Up Call. Kevin Bowen, Andy Sweeney, Mark Dykton on a Monday.
Yeah, I mean, at some point today, we do have to talk about Team USA on the basketball side, both of them. What a weekend. Getting gold on the men's side. Then yesterday, obviously, the thriller, both of them against France. So that was a lot of fun. And then really, I mean, the main thing today is going to be the Colts. Anthony Richardson, you didn't see very much at all from that starting offense. We can dive into that, but Anthony Richardson, after 308 days of waiting, got back on the field. There was some good, there was some bad. I thought Bo Nix actually wasn't too bad for the Broncos. I know you were in attendance yesterday, so looked like a pretty good crowd as well. Looked like a great crowd for a preseason game.
New turf, roof's broken.
Well, the roof's
What else do we need to check off the old box?
The roof's broken. I didn't see
We're
some
in mid-season
people
form with roof issues at Lucas Oil Stadium.
This is
the worst investment in our city. Should we go there?
No bolts were falling from
I guess if you're looking for positives.
It's like whenever you get on a plane, like, there's an issue with the engine. You're going to have to wait 2 hours on the tarmac. It's like, it's okay. I will be 34,000 feet in the air. Why don't you fix it? It's like one of those things. Like, well, if it's malfunctioning, I guess what are you going to do? It's never open.
Colts will get back to work at Grand Park on Wednesday. So it'll be a quiet Monday and Tuesday here coming off that preseason game yesterday. Again, night practices to conclude their stay at Grand Park Wednesday and Thursday with the Arizona Cardinals. And then they will be back inside of Lucas Oil Stadium Saturday night. That is a 7 o'clock kick against the Cardinals. You know, I always feel this way when we get to this first Monday recap of a preseason game. I almost feel like we should have one of those little scrolls at the bottom of the YouTube chat, because that's our visual medium here for the show of,
okay,
it is preseason football. Like, everything we say should probably lead off with that. You know, I find that in discussing training camp practices of, like, you know, we have great access at training camp. We're able to watch the entire practice.
Right.
You know, that is awesome. And so when we share this information on what we see, I, again, feel the need to almost throw in the caveat every single segment of, it's training camp. This is what we are watching. So consider this at 7:04, the buffer of it is a preseason game. Starting offense, very blah, borderline meh. I would say Anthony Richardson, you know, if I'm going to be, he looked like a dude that hadn't played football in 308 days. If I'm going to be totally honest, he also was out there for 7 snaps. Like, again, you know, just continue to drive that point home. And defensively, I thought a little bit of a mixed bag from your starting unit, but I thought your frontline guys showed out. And that would be the Kenny Moores of the world, Zaire Franklin making a play, Grover Stewart, man in the middle. So just generally, blah for me from the offense. Just some ball placement, inaccuracy, timing stuff with Anthony Richardson. And then defensively, I thought the frontline guys, and then if you want to creep into Latu, he continues to show me everything that you would want to see out of a rookie rusher.
Yeah, I mean, Latu's one of those guys, you watch him. I know you probably went back and watched part of the game as well. It's like you watch him, And you're like, yeah, I don't know how they're going to be able to just keep him off the field. He even had really a couple nice plays, I thought, on run stop as well. So it's not like, again, he's a relief pitcher that comes in there, third down and makes things happen. I did smile that this is always like, and I even find myself, when you mention it's just the preseason, I find myself being caught up in that and kind of laughing as even I do it, and that is this. Anthony Richardson, that first team offense, let's call it what it was. It wasn't very good. It just wasn't very good. And Anthony Richardson looked rusty, and that's fine. Again, as you mentioned, it's preseason football. So on one side of my brain, KB, it's funny because I look at that. I had a buddy text me late last night. He's a Titans guy. Goes, what's wrong with Anthony Richardson? And it's like, it's preseason. It's 7 snaps. A guy hasn't played a football game in 308 days and everything else. And, by the way, we get to, this week with the Cardinals and then the final preseason game and then the regular season. And if he's still missing plays, a couple plays to Grants and both of those should have been first downs, then we can have that conversation. So it's just preseason. I keep that on one side of my mind. But then a guy like Dallas Flowers, who had a bad game yesterday, who I don't know if you can put him out there if something happens to one of your corners. Am I going to be consistent, KB, and do the same with him? And I'm guessing I probably won't. I'm guessing fans probably are inconsistent with some guys. Well, just preseason. And then for others, you look at Anthony Richardson and say, wow, it's just preseason. It's just 7 snaps out there. So, but that's what we have to work with. Yesterday, at least, was another data point in figuring out what this team can be.
I think the key thing in those statements that you make there is, okay, how accurately do you evaluate these guys? And I think you have to pull out some past precedent. For Dallas Flowers, he's coming off a torn Achilles.
I know.
Did he look like a guy coming off a torn Achilles yesterday?
Yes, he did.
He certainly did. So, again, I think that is accurate. For Richardson's sake, I think he's mostly been a little bit more accurate this camp. Now, it's funny, I went on with Jake and Jimmy on Friday, and, Jake, asked a little bit of like, okay, how much is camp accuracy, game accuracy? And it's not that. Game accuracy is different. And, it's kind of funny if you, really want to dissect the 4 passes he had, he didn't lead Kylan Granson on that final third down throw that he was out there. I didn't think he got it to Granson early enough.
No, that's a first down play.
If you go back and you watch the Mo Alley Cox throw, it's a little thing, but Richardson, and who knows if he did this or not, but he threw it to the correct shoulder for Mo Alley Cox. That defender was coming up on the opposite shoulder. That defender thought he could maybe jump the route and then was in a poor position to tackle. So by Richardson throwing it to the kind of other shoulder to Mo, he allowed Mo to turn up field and make a play after the catch. Then he didn't do that with Granson. So again, it's just little kind of ball placement stuff with Richardson that I think is the question. I mean, that is, when you talk about his playing development, it is accuracy out there. And then if you go to Latu, again, at this point, he's checked every box. And for those that weren't nerding out over the Denver box score, or I should say the Denver depth chart, Latu was disruptive yesterday. He, I would say, altered the timing of Jarrett Stidham and Bo Nix, and that's what you want to see. And he did it against a legit left tackle. Garrett Bowles has started in this league for several years. He's a 100 career starter. Last year, Pro Football Focus ranked him one of the better left tackles in the league, and I thought Latu gave Bowles a lot to handle. So, again, I think with every little statement you make, it's important to throw in a little context around it to try and accurately evaluate what we have. Because what we have is 7 snaps for the offense, 12 snaps for the defense. You can overreact, you can underreact. But if you throw in a little context, I think that's important to do.
Yeah, I thought, just going back to Anthony Richardson, too, I think there's another side to it. I mean, listen, I'm trying to pull things out from the performance yesterday and say, okay, they matter, they don't matter. I mean, that's a conversation we're going to have a lot this week, KB. But for me, I look at it, I say, okay, he's going to have the occasional accuracy issue, right? We've talked about that.
You would have said that Friday morning to me, and I would have said yes. And then you watched 7 snaps yesterday, and you would say, okay, yeah, there's some accuracy
it.
issues.
Yeah, I don't think that's a hot take. I think fans get it. The flip side of it is he's not in the game long enough yesterday to do those boom plays. And I forget who wrote about it. I'm sure it was you or Erickson or whoever, Nate Atkins, whatever it may be. But, with him, you're just not going to open the playbook in preseason either. I mean, Steichen's not going to do that. They're not going to put him in harm's way. I mean, he avoided, a sack one time and he got out of bounds for one rush, but there was no, big deep read zone action or anything, run pass option, things like that you're going to see game one against the Houston Texans.
And honestly, apologies on this Monday morning statement.
You have an apology?
Well, we're 10 minutes in and talking about a preseason game, and the most important thing is this. The Colts played 18 starters yesterday, and none of the 18 got hurt.
And nobody got injured, yeah. So I saw Trey Sermon had a hammy. I tell you, Trey Sermon, his first run got dragged to the ground, and it was an awkward landing. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the hammy.
He got checked out after that, but then went back in and then came out after that. So, yes, Sermon and Trent Penix, another running back. They honestly should probably sign a running back for this week after that. But by all accounts, it was a good day in the health department. Again, Joe Wright's going to join us here coming up at 7:40. Again, the Colts back to work Wednesday and Thursday. A lot to break down from the preseason game. Also, do we have a Tyrese Haliburton injury to talk about?
Oh, I did not see this.
Did you not see this?
No, don't scare me. What happened? Where'd he get injured at? Partying?
Well, that's...
I was going to say, I saw a video of him leaving a van with like 8 women.
Dude, that van was a godly van.
That's a good question there on when Haliburton would have got hurt. But, Brian Windhorst had MRI on Tyrese Haliburton's leg when he was over in Paris. I believe Brian called it a minor leg injury, but referenced that contributed to some of the lack of playing time for Haliburton.
Again, what Mark is talking about, there was outside one of the nightclubs or whatever, Team USA. It was Tyrese Haliburton. I guess he had a buddy or two, but the van was just filled with women, and I was like, man, good for Tyrese. I have no idea. I guess one is his girlfriend, or are they engaged? I have no idea. They fiancés? Do you have any idea? I think they're just together.
After the old you saying Simone Biles was pregnant, it's probably best we just lay off that one.
Well, I mean, we got to dive into the IOC at some point. Stripping Jordan Childs of a bronze medal. What a bunch of gutless bums.
Tyrese Haliburton was slowed in the Olympics by a minor injury. Team USA didn't announce it, but he had an MRI. Again, that was from Brian Windhorst, who was over in Paris covering the USA men's basketball team. Haliburton was caught in a numbers game, but he still has a future with the program. Windhorst was kind of addressing what the 2028 team could look like. So, I would say any sort of minor leg injury is not in the ideal mode for Tyrese Haliburton, especially if all of a sudden this could impact what the next month and a half looks like for him in terms of putting on weight or whatever you want to do. As he gets ready.
Resting.
Well, that as well for the start of this upcoming season. But just absurd watching that gold medal game. I mean, Steph Curry, and Pacers fans saw it here this year with Golden State. But I go back and you watch those threes to put the game on ice in the gold medal, and the video's been kind of going around of really all 4 of the daggers, which is just crazy. He had 4 separate ones. I mean, you could call all 4 of them daggers. And I cannot get over watching the French bench
I know.
For each and every one, because every single time the U.S. gets the ball, it's like this 2-possession game where all of a sudden there's a few guys on that French bench that are rising, and a little, the crowd's murmuring a little bit more.
Oh, yes, they are. They're
Here
murmuring.
we go. One more stop is score. Who knows what's going to happen? And each and every time, the disgust, the dejection. I thought Bam Adebayo maybe had the quote of the Olympics. Bam said on the final 3, he literally mouthed to himself, what in the like, wait, LeBron and Durant are wide open.
Yeah.
There's like 6 on the shot clock.
I don't want LeBron to shoot that 3. I want Steph Curry to shoot that shot.
Yeah. And for Steph to shoot it, take it, and hit it, I mean, he's the greatest shooter of all time. And just for him to continually do it and to do it on the Olympic stage, his first ever Olympic stage, which is amazing. I said this Friday, I'm going to remember that semifinal game so much, the comeback against Serbia, but the Steph daggers, that might take the cake considering it was a gold medal, considering it was really on away soil, if you will, against France in the gold medal.
Well, no,
game.
I mean, listen, I thought that I was with you. I thought the win against Serbia would be kind of the moment, right? It would be the moment, and it was a great moment, but it wasn't what we saw on Saturday, KB. I mean, Saturday with what we saw down the stretch with Steph Curry saving everything was just unbelievable. And, I mean, that last shot, you knew he was going to take it. And it's funny. It's like, I'm like, just shoot the ball and it's going to go in. Did you feel that way with Curry? That's how I felt at the end.
Well, honestly, on the last one, I thought, shoot it. They're triple teaming you. Hopefully we'll get the offensive rebound and we can milk more of the clock. I will give a big credit to Caitlin Clark. She sent this out. Steph's a cheat code. I mean, he is literally a cheat code. You know, I mean, you play the video game, somehow you've got whatever, flamethrower emoji, you're on fire, it's NBA Jam. He is a cheat code. And like, I mean, that final one he hit, it's just
Did you listen to the French broadcast?
Yeah, oh yeah.
They're
Epic.
like, why is he doing this to us? They were basically like, somebody stop this man. He is single-handedly sinking our ship.
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
The USA tweeted out golden dagger. I thought that was a pretty accurate statement for that final run. I did laugh at I don't laugh at Tyrese Haliburton having any minor injury, but I did laugh at Tyrese's tweet certainly after the gold medal game. I assume 90-some% of our audience saw it, but Tyrese with a very sheepish grin, the gold medal around his neck, and the caption, "When you ain't do none, in on the group project and still get an A."
All three of us, I'm stereotyping everyone in this room.
Tremendous by Tyrese Haliburton.
I came through on the group project. Like, I was the one working on a group project. Both of you come across as you also worked fairly hard on these group projects. So at one point in time, we disliked a guy like Haliburton who did nothing and still got the A.
Well, I don't want to act like I was Steph or LeBron or Durant on the group projects, but I would like to think I was like a Devin Booker.
Yeah, but you weren't Jason Tatum.
I was Anthony Davis.
Yeah, you were okay. Hey, you're an Anthony Davis. Hey, Devin Booker played good basketball. I got to bend the knee to Devin Booker a little bit. I've apologized to Devin Booker 4 or 5 different times on this show. You know what's funny? That game ended, and I'm like sweating everything. It's such a great game, and I'm like, damn, are we in trouble in 2028? That's the first thing I thought of. Because the guys that carried us are the old guys. None of these guys are going to be back. LeBron's not going to be back. Steph Curry's not going to be back. I mean.
You know how long 4 years is?
No, it seems so long, doesn't it? Like, what's going to be going on in our lives in 4 years?
Ashley,
where will Anthony Richardson be in 4 years?
Ashley brought it up to me during the gold medal game. She said, is LeBron not going to play in 4 years? Because it's in L.A. She's like, do you think he might do like a Diana Taurasi and do like a farewell tour kind of thing?
It's not a bad idea. I mean, the women didn't take their best team. They took older players.
That beard is going to be Lovie Smith-like, and he's still going to be dunking on dudes.
I was about to say, he'll still be good for 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists.
It's absurd. I mean, utterly absurd what LeBron is doing at that age. Yeah, I do think, we did the 2028 Team USA projection a couple weeks ago, and watching the Olympics unfold, I'm thinking, boy, I should probably include more of the older dudes. And even like some of the guys, like I didn't have Anthony Davis on the team. I'm thinking Anthony Davis in 4 years still could be of pretty good quality. It's not like Team USA has an abundance of young big dudes of the Evan Mobleys and the Chet Holmgrens of the world.
You're giving me Chet Holmgren.
So just absolutely amazing what Team USA accomplished. And obviously the Olympics as a whole. I said this to you Friday. I'm going to miss it. And David Woods had this stat, the most track and field Olympic medals for the United States on foreign soil in 112 years. Just dominance in the track and field there. So I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss not having this TV, Mark, dialed up to handball at 7:08 in the morning. And
Andy and I talked about that. I'm like, I don't even know what's on Golden Girls. I don't even know what we put on.
I was sad. I walked in and the big 85-inch TV was just sitting off alone in the corner.
Like, I don't even know when the next time we get appointment sports viewing in the mornings is.
Is there a golf tournament coming up you want to watch? It's the middle of the day. I mean, you tell me.
I hate to say that. We can get into some Matt Kuchar drama if anybody cares about that here on this Monday.
I did see that. I forgot about Matt Kuchar.
That would take like 13 minutes to explain, and we would certainly lose the audience.
Is that what people want in the 7 and 8 o'clock hour? You know what? To hell with the Colts preseason game and Team USA. Matt Kuchar in the news.
Probably recapping the Colts. Again, I will go back to this. I would think individually. I know the stat sheet is not stuff by any means from him yesterday. It was just 7 snaps. But Latu disrupting things against a guy like Garrett Bowles, I would say individually might be the most encouraging sign to walk away from. And again, there are some things that are certainly question marks, and by no means was it all perfect for the Colts yesterday. Certainly the starting offense did not do a very good job. I would like to see, Jonathan Taylor gets 2 carries. I'd like to see a little bit more run game production, out of the offensive line, controlling the line of scrimmage, albeit it's an extremely small sample size. But Latu just continues to check boxes. Very situational yesterday. Didn't start, but came on the field in those third downs. And, again, faced a quality left tackle, and I thought gave that guy some major trouble. And that obviously is extremely encouraging when you project out less than a month away from the season opener.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson, we'll dive into that. I mean, we got to dive into some safety, defensive backs. What did the Colts do there? Slot wide receiver, I thought they moved guys around, including A.D. Mitchell. So lots to talk about, obviously. We can talk about that, and we'll do so over the next 3 hours. We'll take a break. Coming up next, your morning check down. We'll get you sound from Lucas Oil Stadium yesterday. Our final Olympic update and your scores from last night. We'll do it next. Appreciate you hanging out with us until 10 o'clock. Wake up call, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Colts radio analyst Joe Wright. You heard him on the call with Matt Taylor yesterday, former offensive lineman. He's going to join us here in about 15 minutes to recap preseason game number 1. I can't believe I've said the score now twice in the first 30 minutes of the show. 34-30. Fireworks abound yesterday inside of Lucas Oil Stadium with a broken roof.
Hey, listen, I mean, you got to see a lot of Zach Wilson. Poor Zach Wilson immediately goes to the Broncos and is immediately third string.
Yeah, quite humbling when you have to take the kneel down in the preseason opener.
Game.
That's where your career
against
has come
Jason Bean. So 34-30, like KB mentioned, that is the final. Obviously, the big story coming from the game, Anthony Richardson, 308 days since he last been on an NFL football field. 2 of 4, had 25 yards. Just, again, the one scrambled to the left, got out of bounds after a yard. I know that was talked about after the game as well. Here's head coach Shane Steichen on his quarterback.
First time in over 300 days getting out there and playing with his guys. You know, he got 7 reps. You know, he's 2 of 4 there. Obviously wanted to start a little better on that first drive, but then we got backed up, hit a nice, pivot over the ball to Mo and hit a third down, which, we're short on. But it was good just to get those guys out, in a game-like situation.
All right, so just a 2 series and then out of the game for Anthony Richardson. They did have a short field on that third series, but Joe Flacco came into the game. Now, as for Anthony Richardson, obviously he did a lot of media during the game. He was part of the flag football stuff after the game, which is pretty cool to see. Another step in the journey getting back on the field.
Being able to put my uniform back on and being able to go back out there in front of the fans and all the supporters, it's a blessing because I know I definitely missed it last year a lot, just running out there and just being back on the field. So this is another, step in the journey, and hopefully I get to take some more.
Again, Joe Wright's going to join us in a few. We'll obviously recap a lot from a preseason standpoint throughout the show. If I could just kind of summarize a couple good, couple bad. I thought in the good category, I did think your frontline defenders made some nice plays. Micah Abraham, the day 3 pick out of Marshall, had a big turnover there, strip and a fumble return for a touchdown there.
How much does that mean for him?
I think it's important.
A guy trying to make the team.
And I had him on my 53-man roster, but I think kind of the backup to Kenny Moore is how you would view that. I did think DJ Montgomery, kind of a fringe wideout, made a couple plays for you on that end. Again, I thought Latu had some disruptive snaps, which is really important against a great left tackle. On the bad or disappointing category, Dallas Flowers coming off the Achilles, Blake Freeland as a backup tackle. Your run offense was really anemic with your running backs. And then just in general, I thought the starting offense, you'd like to see a little bit more, albeit, again, just 7 snaps for them. So Joe Wright's going to join us. Colts back to training camp. Joint sessions with the Cardinals coming up Wednesday and Thursday, and that is it from Grand Park. All right, Mark Dykton, our final one of the
final
2024 Olympic Games.
I'm going to miss it.
So we have tied China in gold medals, 40-40, but we certainly win the outright, 126-91 in overall medals there. Great Britain was third with 65 medals. Shout out to the U.S. women's soccer team. They beat Brazil on Saturday to capture a gold. Again, we talked a lot about the men's basketball in the opening segment there. Boy, women's basketball, you talk about avoiding disaster. Geez, that certainly could have been that yesterday. That was a wild finish there with Frances Gabby Williams hitting a 3 at the buzzer that would have forced overtime, but toes on the line, I guess over the line, frankly. So that allowed the USA women to escape. They now have won 61 straight games in the Olympics.
Yeah, I was watching yesterday, and I'm not saying I was going to be a part of this because the masses were going to do this, but, struggling offense, can't set anybody up, no Caitlin Clark on the team. There was a segment of Twitter yesterday, KB, that was going to pounce if Team USA did not win the gold medal. Low-hanging fruit, that's what it's called.
That certainly would have been that, but yes.
That also would have been right.
There's some sweaty bumps, because, again, you needed that gold to tie China there. 40 all. So, I thought it was a great Olympics. I thought some unbelievable individual and kind of team storylines there. I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to miss it. So, great Olympics, certainly on track and field for the U.S. Again, mentioned this earlier. David Woods had this stat. Most track and field medals for the United States on foreign soil since 1912. 34 track and field medals for the U.S.
What about the Australian breakdancer Rachel Gunn, Ray Gunn? Did you happen to see any of that? Tell me you guys saw that. I mean, that was the talk of the weekend when the Olympics, the breakdancing woman.
I think my favorite tweet was, this was when my 4-year-old says, Daddy, I'm scared. I need to come sleep with you. And that's how the 4-year-old then reacts for the next 2 hours. I think Rosie might have done that exact same move last night from about 3 a.m. to 4 a.m.
Oh.
Daddy, watch this, and that's what they do is they
That
flop
was
around
another
on the
very
ground.
good
Like,
tweet.
oh, very good.
I mean,
very
we got to be
cool.
done, right? Breakdancing out, baseball back in for 2028. I mean, come
please, can we get breakdancing out of here?
Breaking,
It's
right?
terrible.
If I'm going to be accurate on what it's called.
I did watch the men's breaking on like Saturday morning. I was like,
Did
that's
you?
actually pretty good, but I'm like, I still don't know how this got on the Olympics of all things.
Well, Paris got to choose, right? I mean, that's what happened. They got to knock in a couple different things for the week, and that's what you got stuck with, Mark.
Yeah,
Is that how it
Breakdancing.
works?
Yeah, they get to choose a couple. So, when it's in, L.A. and everything, it's in the U.S., I'm sure we'll choose a couple things that are good for us, whatever that is. I thought we'd be good at breakdancing. I haven't seen anyone breakdance in 15 years. I got to be honest.
I don't think that Ray Gun had seen anybody
I feel like
break
you
dance
walk out of
before
Lucas Oil Stadium and someone's like breakdancing,
There's just a
underneath
guy.
the bridge at,
Yeah.
Capitol and Georgia Street or
You're right.
something.
There's just a
On the
guy.
way back to the parking garage.
Give me a swoosh. Quickly, Major League Baseball. Reds salvage won yesterday, 4-3 over the Brewers. Brewers take that series. No surprise there. Nashville Sounds over the Indianapolis Indians, 3-0. Busy slate tonight. Reds Cardinals at 6:40. Where are your Cubbies this weekend? Oh, they're in Cleveland, 6:40.
Yeah, they swept the White Sox in a 2-game series. They had Sunday off, which is very rare.
That's so odd.
I was looking for the Cubs score, and I go, where are the damn Cubs at?
Yeah,
What
the
are we
Sox
doing?
and Cubs only play 4 games this year together, so they had a random Sunday off together.
Keeping the White Sox off of Sunday. Yeah.
But also the
The
Cubs are like
Sabbath for the White
the
Sox.
Cubs are like the one team we wish we could face this season. The
but-
for sure win.
Individually shout out here NFL preseason wise. It's fun to see some of the local names kind of pop up randomly here in the preseason. The Center Grove duo, Carson Steele, Austin Booker. Booker for Mark's Bears had a couple of big sacks over the weekend. Carson Steele had a big ol' first NFL run for the Chiefs. 4 carries, 29 yards for him. Looked like a sectional game against Jeffersonville or Terre Haute South
Hey, settle down.
for Carson Steele there. So nice debuts for a couple Center Grove
What about
Trojans
Stetson
there.
Bennett? Did you see he had 4 interceptions?
That's amazing you can stay in the game long enough to throw 4 picks.
Well, I mean, at that point, they're like, well, just, screw it. We'll just keep you in the game. I mean, what are we else going to go to?
It is
You mean, you're our
crazy the
third
Colts
string?
played 5 quarterbacks on Sunday.
It really was. I mean, I forgot Jason Bean was even there. I don't mind saying it. Like, you thought Slovis was going to be the final guy, didn't you? I don't mind saying it. I wish I could have seen a little bit more of Joe Flacco. Maybe another series of Flacco.
Flacco's in and out quick.
Flacco's
I thought
fine.
Ellinger looked good. Typical Ellinger in the preseason there. So, yeah.
He's
Well,
used
you're
to
going to
it.
get a lot of that come up Saturday
I
night.
was about to say. Again, Colts off today, off tomorrow, back at it Wednesday and Thursday for the those joint practices. I would imagine tickets still available. Go to Colts.com for that, for parking and everything else. You heard him yesterday right here on The Fan. Joe Wright, he's going to join us next. What did he see? The good, bad, and the ugly. Joe Wright joins us next here on The Fan on this Monday.
Crisp Monday morning here in Indianapolis. Thank you for spending it with us. We're recapping preseason game number 1, a man that will be hopefully in your ears here throughout the preseason. You heard him yesterday alongside Matt Taylor. The great Joe Wright's been up since probably 3 a.m. We say good afternoon to Joe Wright's at 7:41 in the morning. Joe, good afternoon to you, sir. Most important matter of business, 18 starters played for the Colts yesterday, and I didn't see a single one of them exit due to injury. Now that we've got that out of the way, what did you like? What did you not like from preseason game number 1?
Have both of them out there for 17 this year, boy, I think we're going to see a lot of explosiveness from this offense.
Joe Wright's joining us, Payless Liquors Hotline. Joe, I got to ask you this way, just as a baseline, how do you, former player, now broadcaster, how do you evaluate as a football guy what you're seeing during the preseason game? I think for fans and media, we struggle with it. For instance, I'm not overreacting on a couple missed throws, a couple missed timing throws from Anthony Richardson, but I look at a guy like Dallas Flowers, and I'm thinking, wow, if a corner goes down, is Flowers going to be ready? Is he good enough right now to cover guys in the NFL? Yesterday, he was not. So there's a good, there's a bad. How do you view it from a former football player's viewpoint?
Yeah, for me, it's all about winning your one-on-one battles. Obviously, the scheme is going to be so vanilla. You're not throwing anything out there that you might run in the regular season. Point being, the couple inside runs Richardson had to Jonathan Taylor, he's not really a threat to run outside the pocket because the Colts aren't going to dial that up. So what can Denver do? They can be more aggressive, and they can muddle it up a little bit more, and maybe it's a 2-yard gain for the Colts instead of an 8-yard game in the regular season when they know there's a real threat for Richardson running. But it's your individual battles. Are you winning your one-on-one blocks? You think about in the secondary receiver, are you separating as a wide receiver? Are you covering guys as a corner? I thought Flowers actually played okay. I thought that was a little questionable pass interference call. Also, there were probably double the penalties yesterday that will be in the regular season game, and that always happens, right? The refs are going to call it tighter, really go into those points of emphasis. But I thought Jalen Jones in the secondary, after that first catch Sutton had and got up in his face a little bit, I thought Jones did a nice job shutting him down after that. A couple other guys that flashed. Obviously, Abraham. I mean, the 6th-round pick, you're coming in, you're making a play. Just to have the wherewithal to just get in there and rip that ball out and take it. I mean, you have those type of plays, game-changing plays. That's what keeps guys on the roster and forces coaches to play you. From a pass rush perspective, I really like Tyquan Lewis. Tyquan Lewis got after Garrett Bowles. Garrett Bowles had a rough day there at left tackle. And then when Latu got in there too, he showed you the flash that he has. He showed you he's able to have some nice hand-to-hand combat. One time he swiped his hands down, and then he really bent around the edge. So when you talk about bending around the edge, nobody was better than Robert Mathis in terms of getting low and really closing that pocket down on the high end of your rush. I thought he did a nice job in his first action. And so those two guys, that gave me some comfort, obviously, with the injury to Sampson and unfortunately him probably being out for the year. Those two guys are going to be called on to produce a lot, and I thought those two guys really showed up well yesterday.
He's great, Joe Wright. You heard him alongside Matt Taylor yesterday. Jeffrey Gorman, having to carry the weight for Jeffrey Gorman there on the radio call. You'll hear them coming up again Saturday night. Colts and Cardinals, 7 o'clock inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. Joe, what do you think of the new kickoff?
Interesting. And I like Gould. He had that big return, and I know, that's probably a reason we drafted him in addition to his, skills. But on special teams, that can be a difference maker. And I think, again, teams aren't going to show you their schemes. They're going to be dialing up week one. But it's just a weird feeling to be there, and the ball's in the air, and everybody's frozen in time. It's kind of you're looking around like, what's going on here? But that's definitely going to be interesting to watch because I always talk about special teams, those hidden yards. People rarely talk about special teams, but it's a third of the game. And if we can have a competitive advantage in the return game with him, and, with some of our schemes and our core four special teamers, that can be an advantage for us because it's it might not seem like a big difference to start on the 22 or the 31, but when you go and analyze data and scores in terms of your starting field position, that is so huge in terms of A, points, but B, touchdown percentage. And again, we've seen in the modern NFL, it all ties into scoring touchdowns when you're in the red zone and not kicking field goals. And so, I'm intrigued. I like it. We'll see how it goes this year. And but I do think the Colts can have an advantage over a lot of teams they play with, one, just their good special teams play overall, but the addition of Gould.
So, again, just 3 preseason games for NFL teams now, 2 left for the Colts, 1 Saturday, 1 a week from Thursday down in Cincinnati. And if Shane Steichen operates like he did last year in the preseason, we won't see the starters this Saturday night against Arizona coming off those joint practices. Joe, based off what you saw yesterday, and I guess let's just stick with the offense, based off of Anthony Richardson's, just lack of playing time last year, lack of playing time at Florida, if Shane Steichen dialed you up and said, Joe, you think we should play the offense at all Saturday night, what would you say?
To me, it depends on how good the 2 joint practices are and how good the work is you get in there. And I think there always is merit in playing in games and being under the bright lights. But, again, if you have 2 really great days of full padded work and you're going against the Cardinals and you're getting a ton of snaps, we'll see how it plays out. I think the advantage of the joint practices is really the situational football part of it. You think in a preseason game, you don't know. We might get a 2-minute, we might get a red zone, we might have a couple third downs, but they're going to go and play Arizona and have a third down call-up period, and the Colts offense is going to get 8 snaps. And then, Arizona's offense is going to get 8 snaps. And then you're going to have a blitz period where they're showing you all different kinds of blitzes. So those joint practices, I only did it once in my 9-year career. And it was a little different. You played 4 preseason games. But now the NFL is kind of evolving into a little bit less preseason time, more joint practices. And I think that's positive. And I know coaches love it because of that situational football aspect. You'll get to work on all the things that you need to against a different opponent, not knowing what they're going to run, which is going to prepare you for week 1, which is now less than 4 weeks away.
Joe Wright's with us, Payless Liquors Hotline. Yeah, Joe, that's exactly what Shane Steichen said after, and he even alluded to it, on Wednesday and Thursday, getting to work on things like, goal line situations inside the red zone, those sorts of things. So interesting what we'll see up in Westfield on Thursday and Friday. Slot wide receiver, we saw a little bit of everything. Josh Downs out about a month. We'll see as we go here in the next couple weeks if he'll be ready for week 1. But seemingly they tried everything. I mean, we saw A.D. Mitchell, we saw Gould out there. We saw some tight ends be there in the slot. How much did you pay attention to that, and what did you make of the guys that kind of filled in for Josh Downs yesterday?
Yeah, one, it was great to see A.D. make his first catch in Lucas, so I expect that to be first of many. But I think the negative of Downs' injury is the positive that other guys get more reps. And remains to be seen who's going to kind of emerge as maybe that backup to him. But what I like, too, is just you think about when you're calling an offensive formation and you have 1 running back, that leaves 4 other spots. And is that 4 wide receivers? Is that 2 wide receivers and 2 tight ends? I know, Shane, is that 3 tight ends and 1 wide receiver? We have a lot of advantages in terms of personnel and kind of tying the slot into the tight end room, too. I still am intrigued on the tight end room. You really got 5 guys that all have game experience. They all have different skill sets. How is that going to shake out? 1, how many are we going to keep on the roster?
Right.
And then 2, who's going to emerge as the first tight end, the second tight end, the third tight end when we're rolling into Houston? I thought Mallory did some good things. Jelani Woods had a nice catch, which was great to see. You go back a couple of years ago, he's explosive with the ball in his hands. And then you got Mo Alley and you got Granson. And I've always thought Ogletree may be the most complete tight end on the roster in terms of his ability to catch the football, but also block in line on that Y position when you're right on the line of scrimmage. So tight end to me and secondary are the two things that I watched yesterday and that I still am really intrigued how that's going to play out here the next 3-4 weeks.
All right, we'll end with this, and the great Joe Wright's with us here on the Payless Slickers hotline. Joe, your former teammate, Dwight Freeney, into the Hall of Fame here a little over a week ago. I'll never forget Anthony Costanzo sharing the story of his first NFL training camp, I believe his first NFL practice, maybe in full pads, and he thought to himself, oh my gosh, if this is how every dude is in the NFL, there's no chance I'm lasting in the league. And trying to block Freeney and probably trying to block Robert Mathis on that end. I know your career didn't overlap a ton with Dwight Freeney, but do you have a story about potentially facing off against number 93 in practice?
Yeah, it's Costanzo's fault. If people remember, he had like a one-day holdout in camp, so he missed like the first day. So I'm playing left tackle with the ones. And I'm in there with Dwight, and literally I got beat like 10 times. If we threw the ball 11 times, I got beat on 10 of them by Dwight. And I'm leaving the first practice thinking, like, I'm trying to make the team and compete for a starting job, and I'm going to get cut after the first, day of darn training camp. But he was
You created
so
leverage for Anthony Costanzo. That's what you were doing. You were helping a brother out.
Yeah, he owes me some of that contract. That's what I'm talking about. But I mean, he was so good, and him and Robert were so good, and they were so good in practice, and they brought it every day. And for me, as a young guy, when I was trying to, compete and make the roster and stay in this league and stay with the Colts, it's invaluable how good those guys were for me, because I would go out every day in practice, and, I mean, you're facing the two best pass rushers in the NFL. And so in a way, it made games a little bit easier because, like, well, this guy over here that we're blocking this Sunday is really good, but he ain't as good as Dwight, and he ain't as good as Robert. So hats off to Dwight. That was awesome for him to go in the Hall of Fame. Well-deserved. And, man, he was just such a unique rusher. You talk about guys like, I'll never forget, in Baltimore, Jonathan Ogden, who is one of the best left tackles of all time, would say, who is the guy that you had the most problems with? And it was Dwight Freeney. And for him to say something like that, that made me feel a little bit better when I'd be getting beat to the ground day in and day out by 93.
Yeah, high praise from certainly one of the greatest left tackles of all time, and Jonathan Ogden. Joe, great work on Sunday. Great seeing you this weekend. Again, coming up Saturday, 7 o'clock, Colts and Cardinals. Matt Taylor, Joe Wright, Jeffrey Gorman. They'll also have the coverage a week from Thursday down in Cincy. Joe, have a great week, man.
Yep, sounds good, fellas. Thanks for having me on. And all fans, get out to those joint practices Wednesday and Thursday. I'm telling you, it's a game-like atmosphere. It's going to be awesome, and we got a great chance to watch our team really up close and get a ton of good work in. So that's going to be a lot of fun up at Grand Park this week.
Joe, good afternoon. Thank you, sir.
All right, have a good evening. See you, fellas.
That is Joe Wright. It's been up since 2 a.m. That's why we refer to the afternoon with Joe. 6 p.m. start times Wednesday and Thursday for those joint practices. Just to go over that tight end depth chart that Joe referenced there late, for what it's worth, what you had yesterday was Mo Alley-Cox and Kylan Granson with the starters. Then they went to Drew Ogletree and Jelani Woods, kind of with the second teamers. Woods stayed in there a little bit longer. Then you got to Will Mallory. So, if you're, and Mallory's been a little banged up, but
he just got back, right?
2 weeks from tomorrow's roster cut. So these conversations, Andy, we're going to have to start to have a little bit more of them. Are you keeping 4? If you're keeping 4, Jelani Woods and Will Mallory for the last spot? Are we there with Jelani Woods? Is Jelani Woods secure on the team? These are some of the conversations we're going to have to start to have.
Yeah, that when I saw the tight end rotation, I thought, A, it's not a surprise, and B, I thought, hey, one of these guys, you think you can let them pass through and get them on the practice squad? I think it's a conversation we're probably at. Just quickly, and I need your help to try to find this, because I could not find this. With the new kickoffs, if you include the 49-yard return by Anthony Gould late in the game in the fourth quarter, the starting field position was the 31-yard line for the Colts. If you take that one away, it was the 27-yard line. And I want to dive into it, hour number 2, if they meant to take it out of the end zone in the first kick.
I assume they did.
That's what Rake and Venturi said on the broadcast.
You want to
they
rep
thought
that.
that they wanted to get a rep there instead of getting the ball out at the 35-yard line, but we shall see. All right, hour number 2 coming up next. Several things to talk about with the Colts, including one item that kind of worries me emanating from practice and obviously last night's game. We'll tell you what that is and more. Hour number 2, wake up call 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Nice start to this week here in Indianapolis. Pretty crisp morning here. Colts will get back to work Wednesday and Thursday. That will put a wrap on things at Grand Park. Those are the joint practices starting at 6 p.m. each night with the Arizona Cardinals, and those two teams will meet, albeit in all likelihood, without their starters coming up Saturday night inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. Andy, let's focus here a lot on what happened yesterday in that preseason opener. Again, I think the most important thing exiting every single preseason game is health. 18 starters played. That's a big number, by the way. Jonathan Taylor played in the preseason opener.
It was stunning, Jonathan Taylor played.
Not only did he play, he came out for a second series.
What about the helmet that he wore, the shell helmet?
He went Guardian cap.
There were 7 guys that had that on the team?
I jotted down like a handful of guys that wore the Guardian caps. We see this a lot in practice. Taylor, for its worth, didn't commit to wearing it during the season afterwards, just kind of wanted to feel what it was like in a game setting. It does able to absorb some of the hit nature and supposedly supposed to reduce concussions by a small percentage there. But again, 18 starters played. They did hold Juju Brents to force Buckner out just for some rest, kind of maintenance issues. Juju Brents' shoulder on that end. So let's start there, I guess, health-wise, but then I'll let you play off good or bad category. In my good category, I thought your frontline defenders showed up. I thought Latu showed up. Micah Abraham, the third round or the day 3 pick out of Marshall, had a big strip and fumble return for a touchdown there in the second half. That would be kind of my main good category. I thought in the bad category, your run offense, your running backs, 17 carries combined for 35 yards. That is an ugly number. I thought Blake Freeland looked like the guy we saw last season. And I thought Dallas Flowers coming off the torn Achilles looked like a dude coming off the torn Achilles.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, Latu was one of the main good. I think, listen, Anthony Richardson, I'm not going to overreact. I think him getting out there, it's a first step in the process. I hope this week he looks a little bit better. And then, I expect to see him, preseason game number 3. I do. Now, last year he played, the entire first half against the Eagles. Does he do that again? I'm not sure he'll do that. Maybe it's just a couple series, but, him just being back on the field to me was a step in the right direction. Listen, I'm trying not to pick on him. I know that he went with an Achilles last year. Dallas Flowers, I guess I'm just going to have to, disagree a little bit with Joe Wright, and I know he knows a lot more football than I do. I just didn't think he had a very good day. I mean, he allowed 4 or 5 catches. He had a couple pass interferences, and we know pass interference can be touchy in the NFL. I don't like the way it's called in the NFL, but it is what it is. And I guess my biggest worry, I think it's twofold, KB, is number one, it's when we talk about, whenever we single somebody out, this team has expectations to be a playoff team. And whether it's safety or corner, I always remember a couple months ago talking to Joel A. Erickson of the Star, and when he talked about the safety position, it was raising the floor of that position. And I almost wonder now, do I need to be, and Coach Venturi talked about this last week, do I need to be a little bit more worried about corner and the depth at corner and maybe not talk about safety quite as much as we're talking about it? Last year, and we interviewed him, we'll play that conversation coming up tomorrow. Juju Brents played in 9 games last year. He played in 9 games, and I like Jalen Jones. I think he is a fine player. He's also a 7th-round draft pick. He's a young player. He's 22 years old. He's a 7th-round draft pick. And I'm not trying to be harsh towards those guys, but this is about making the playoffs. And the consistent last year was when a wide receiver played the Colts, that wide receiver one balled out on the Colts. We saw it all year. We saw it in wins against the Raiders. We saw it in losses like the final game of the year against the Houston Texans. So if there's one thing that I take from yesterday, I am worried if there is any issue on that frontline corner and you get to the depth of the roster, you're dealing with a guy in Dallas Flowers who I'm not sure is ready. I'm not sure now. There's 3-4 weeks. There's time. He may not be on the, you'd imagine Juju Brents come back. He's not on the field. Again, it's Andy. We're talking about backups. I understand, but attrition happens in the NFL. Samson Ebukam went down, and Chris Ballard has put resources into that defensive line where Tyquan Lewis and Latu come in, butchered his name, and those guys come in, and you feel good enough there. You feel like those guys can easily fill in what you lost with Ebukam. I don't feel that way at corner. And I don't feel that way, plain and simple. So I think that, to me, is the one negative that I actually take away from the game, and I worry about just a little bit, that you get to week 5, if, you have a 2-week injury with Juju Brents, are they going to be able to stop anyone on the back end? And I know you're saying, well, that front 7, especially that defensive line, they can create havoc there, and they can help those guys out. And I'm with you. But that's not going to be every play. And they had the pass rush last year, and they allowed every wide receiver to run all over him. So that would be one of my worries, is it feels like that position isn't any better really too much than what we saw last year. And again, this is not about winning 9 games. This is about winning double-digit games and making the postseason.
Yeah, for me, corner is more of a depth question than a starting question. The starting question is at safety for me. Corner's depth. And I guess just to remind everybody what the depth chart looks like, Juju Brents is the starter. So Dallas Flowers will not be playing unless an injury does occur.
And not a surprise that Juju, who was held out of practice, didn't play on Sunday. Not a surprise at all.
Now, it's corner. I mean, guys, it's very rare for guys just to play 17 games and have 3 of them play 17 games. So, needing Dallas Flowers, you might not need him week 1, but at some point during the season, he would likely be called upon based off how your depth chart looks. And to me, it's very wishful thinking to a guy that, he tore that Achilles in October.
Yeah,
it's not like he tore that Achilles last summer.
What was it, week 4, week 5?
Yeah, something like that. And he had a nice start to the year, but still, I mean, a torn Achilles at corner is just nothing to act like you can overcome it in under a year. So I think you saw some confirmation about depth questions there. For what it's worth, at safety, Nick Cross started and played a lot. He actually played 4 series in the game.
I thought he was all right, too.
Much, much more than, really any starter played on either side of the ball. I thought he was. I know he was in coverage on the 1 touchdown Denver had there in the second quarter. I don't think that's a normal responsibility you would ask of him. He had a near interception early on. He made a nice tackle in space. I didn't think it was all, bad by any means for Nick Cross. Now, does that all of a sudden, rest all of my fears about what you have at safety? Not at all. I still think it's a position that you need to do something at. And, now we are through 10 of 12 days at camp. We're through 1 preseason game. And, joint practices start Tuesday, Wednesday. So in the next, 9-10 days, you'll have 3 joint practices, 2 preseason games. So if it's not now for safety, it's likely never in terms of an outside the building move. I would go, since you went, kind of on the negative side in the DBs, I'll go to the front 4. I was very impressed by Latu. And, stat sheet-wise, he didn't show up necessarily in terms of a sack or a quarterback hit. But if you watched, ironically enough, he actually played the fewest snaps of anybody on defense. He was out there for only 7 snaps. And I think it was oh, wow, we like what we see. There is no need.
Let's get him off the field,
put this guy in bubble wrap and get him to the sidelines. He went up against Garrett Bowles. I mean, Denver played their starters a little bit longer than the Colts did, actually, particularly on offense. Garrett Bowles is a legit left tackle in this league. Guy that started 100 career games, guy that has been a top 10 tackle here as of late. And if you watch Latu, what he did was he just forced Jarrett Stidham and Bo Nix on more than one occasion to change the pocket, to move, to disrupt their timing. And that goes back to my kind of big defensive goal that I mentioned to you a couple weeks ago, Andy, at camp, was you need to disrupt timing more consistently. You need to, if you look at Anthony Richardson yesterday, and I thought a lot of it was self-inflicted, there were timing issues for him. Now, yes, there was the one blitz that obviously kind of blew up the play, but whether it was the 2 misses to Granson, it was just bad timing. I didn't think he saw Granson open enough early on that final 3rd down, and then I thought it was kind of miscommunication between him and Granson on the first incompletion. The ball easily could have been picked off. Looked like Granson might have even stopped kind of running there on that route. So clearly some miscommunication there. But, that is your job. I go back to a Jeff Saturday quote when we had him on the show. Hell, it might have been the day that he took the job.
I was about to say, was it the day he took the Colts job?
As the interim head coach. But Jeff Saturday summed up offensive execution as, we are just trying to hit the exact timing. That's all offensive play is. It's timing. We want to make sure that the run blocks match Edgerrin's, run fits. We want to make sure that, Marvin is in the right spot he needs to be when Peyton hits this step in his drop. It's all timing. And I thought what Latu showed yesterday against a very quality left tackle was the ability to disrupt some things. So it's August 12th. You continue to just go off of the boxes that are presented to him, but I would walk away. And, Joe mentioned Tyquan Lewis as well. I would walk away pretty encouraged, especially when you don't have Buckner.
Right.
Like, you didn't have Buckner out there absorbing double teams.
Yeah, Grover played a series or two.
So it's
right.
not like, your pass rush group was Tyquan Lewis and then Dayo Odengbo slid inside with Kwity Paye and Latu. I think you walk away encouraged by the rookie out of UCLA.
Yeah, I think you do too. I love, did you happen to see Latu on the sideline with Lara? He was like, he's like, I wasn't mad, but when they told me I was coming out of the game, I was, I really wanted to get back in the game. I really wanted to go out there and play football. I love that.
The man did not take his pads off. Usually guys, they'll go pads off at halftime, this and that. No. Latu kept them on.
Can I say this about the TV broadcast? And obviously Matt Taylor on the radio side is fantastic. The TV broadcast, I mean this. I listen, I'm not blowing smoke up as you know what. I think Rakestraw is great.
No, it was unbelievable.
On the TV broadcast. And, Venturi, I love it.
He could do play-by-play for breaking in the Olympics, and he'd be unbelievable.
Here comes Ray Gunn from Australia.
I like Rakestraw. And then
Ray Gunn's uncle played at Scottsburg High School, and I called, his uncle's game back in Sectional 12.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I know there's some people that are trying to tell us that the Ray Gunn thing, that she knows a lot about breakdancing. I'm here to tell you she doesn't. I don't know. I mean, she gave us that data, and I don't know what to do with it. But I did love Lara on the sideline. You see the Gucci bag? These are the things I notice. These
like
are not
little
the things,
fanny pack action?
Yeah, the fanny pack. Oh, I love that stuff. That was fantastic.
She interviewed a variety of players. Anthony Richardson gets interviewed mid. Micah Abraham.
Well, Abraham stripping the ball.
Scoop and score there. Let's go to Richardson. Again, 2 of 4, 25 yards. It was 7 snaps for the starting offense. I would say in general, the offense was pretty poor. I didn't really think you controlled the line of scrimmage when you try to run Taylor. 2 carries for 4 yards. And again, if you dissect Richardson's 4 passes, which welcome to preseason football, here we are overanalyzing 7 snaps for the starting offense. Timing, ball placement, accuracy. I mean, those are the questions we've had with Richardson. So I don't think us walking away from 2 series of work and having those same questions is that crazy. But let's just look at 2 plays, Andy. The Mo Alley Cox catch and run, and then the Kylan Granson play. It ended up being his final play where he completed the ball to Granson, but he doesn't complete it in stride to Granson. Therefore, Kylan gets tackled short of the sticks on a 3rd and 7. If you go back to the Mo Alley Cox play, the defender is kind of humming on one of the Mo Alley Cox's shoulders. I believe technically it would have been Mo's left shoulder. Well, Richardson throws the ball, and I don't know if he did this on purpose, but he kind of throws it more on the right side of Mo's body. So naturally, Mo makes the catch and turns over that shoulder. Well, the defender now has all his momentum going on that left shoulder. He makes a tackle attempt. Well, tackle Mo Alley Cox, you better be pretty square. He's not square. Mo, breaks the tackle and has a catch and run for 19 yards. That is not only a completed ball, but it's a ball in a place where this dude can run after it. That, to me, is what you want to see from Richardson. Fast forward to the next drive, or I guess later in that drive, he does not do that with Kylan Granson. Again, those are some of the things, Andy, that he's just got to clean up in game accuracy of. It's one thing to complete the pass, but in the NFL, you've got to make sure you complete it to the right shoulder because that's just how precise defenders are and quarterbacks are in this league. And again, the other incompletion that easily could have been picked, I just thought him and Granson were off on timing. It almost looked like Granson stopped running to me.
Yeah, that's the one left side of the field, the one that was deeper a little bit,
middle.
maybe a 15-yarder. Yeah, you're right. The one on the right side of the field where it leaves them a 4th and 1, that's a play where I bet they go back last night or this morning, and Steichen's like, listen, bro, you got to make that play, right? I mean, Granson's open. He's open early. You waited. You were, a little indecision.
Definitely waited.
He waited. Then you didn't put a great ball out there like you did Mo Alley Cox. Yeah, that one to me, I know the second Granson one, people can say, well, it was almost picked, whatever. To me, that first one was an easy one. You had a guy open. You had a guy open early. It was what they wanted. Steichen's probably screaming on the sideline to make that play, and you don't make the play, and it leaves you in a position where you're punting, and that's a real life, real NFL week 1 type thing. If you make that play, we get a first down, and we keep things going. After the game, let me give you this. I gave it to you last hour. Here's head coach Shane Steichen on Anthony Richardson's game.
First time in over 300 days getting out there and playing with his guys. He got 7 reps. He's 2 of 4 there. Obviously wanted to start a little better on that first drive, but then we got backed up, hit a nice, pivot over the ball to Mo, and hit a third down. We just, we're short on, but it was good just to get those guys out, in a game-like situation.
What I love about the preseason is if AR would have gone out there, it was like 4 for 4 with 85 yards and completed a 50-yarder down the field. I wonder what our discussion this morning would have been. Would we had to cool each other down, I think, a little bit? I had to cool you down with my fan over here, KB.
Are you going fan again? It feels great outside today.
Well, I got the fan on over here, yeah, just because I wore a sweatshirt. Probably not the best idea in the studios.
I thought in general, if you want to sum up Richardson for me, Steichen kind of handed out of there. He looked like a dude that hadn't played a game of football in 308 days.
It was fine. I'm not taking any big grand statement from anything Anthony Richardson other than he got on the field after 308 days and he left and he's healthy and that's fine.
Now, what if I pose the same question I threw to Joe Wright? Based off what you saw yesterday, should the starters play on Saturday night?
Yeah, see, I don't think so. I don't think you're going to get – I mean, we saw week 1 when we were talking about how much guys would play for the Colts. Week 1 of the preseason, there were some teams – I always come back to Giants and Lions because they fought pretty much the entire 2 days, that those 2 teams didn't play basically any starters. Just a few select starters played for those teams because they had those 2 days of scrimmage. To me, it's not Saturday. It's the Bengals game week 3. To me, that's the one because I don't think you're going to get much of anything from the starters on Saturday.
But should they?
No, I'm going to say no because the work matters that much Wednesday and Thursday that they believe that work is better than anything you're going to get on Saturday. To me, the question is the final game against Cincinnati. I mean, if you remember, they played the better part of an entire half. Anthony Richardson played the entire half. Do they feel like he needs that much work in the preseason to play him for 2 series, to have the Wednesday and Thursday against Arizona, and then to back that up with a full half of football right before you get the season going? To me, I know what you're asking. To me, I think week 3 is more interesting than week 2. I don't think on Saturday we're seeing any of Anthony Richardson. None.
Mapping out the next 9 days for the Colts. Joint practices Wednesday, Thursday with Arizona at Grand Park. Preseason game Saturday night with Arizona, 7 o'clock. Again, based off last year, the Colts will not play. They actually technically played their corners last year in that preseason game. Now, remember, last year, that was a position battle. So I bring that up to say, do we see Nick Cross Saturday night? Do we see some of the tight ends Saturday night? Yes, 15 starters are probably going to rest. 18 starters are probably going to rest. But do we see a couple of them? We can get more into that as the week unfolds.
What do you think? Because I don't think you need to see Mo Alley-Cox. I think he's your starter, right? I mean, he's one of the main guys
it's
there.
Probably more just, playing time. I don't know.
Like Jelani
do you
Woods.
play Ogletree and Jelani Woods?
Right.
Will Mallory, of course, will play. You're going to play some of the tight ends. I mean, hell,
I think you should play the safeties.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
I think the hard thing about it is, yesterday, the only person that got a chance to be next to Julian Blackmon was Nick Cross, because you obviously don't want Julian Blackmon out there for tons and tons of reps. So I think that's kind of a disappointing aspect to it. And then next week, they'll go to Cincinnati a week from Tuesday. That'll be a joint practice with the Bengals. And then their final preseason game is in Cincinnati Thursday night. I believe that's an Amazon game. And if the Colts operate like they did last year in the preseason, as Andy pointed out, Anthony Richardson played pretty much the entire first half of that final preseason game in Philly last year. Again, the assumption would be he would do something like that. A couple other items of note for me. Again, I worry about the offensive tackle depth. I thought Blake Freeland got beat on several occasions. The Trey Sermon injury is probably something to watch. It's a hamstring injury. If this knocks him out for a week or two, what do you do about backup running back? remember there was that brief period where like the Colts made I forget if they even made an offer. They had some interest in A.J. Dillon. Remember that during the offseason?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
How do you handle backup running back?
We both laughed at that and said, no, thank you.
Is probably something to note as well. And then again, if you do want to kind of dissect what they did at safety, Nick Cross played the first 4 series of the game yesterday. It was Ronnie Harrison Jr. and Rodney Thomas, the other two, that got some reps. I did think your frontline defenders, it wasn't perfect, I thought, for your starting defense. You know, they allowed a couple of completions early on, aided by some penalties. But I did think individually, like Kenny Moore obviously made some plays. Zaire Franklin made a nice play in pass coverage against Javonte Williams, and then Grover Stewart looked like Grover Stewart. So I thought your frontline guys, Grover, Zaire, Kenny, hell, if you want to throw Latu into that mix, I thought they did a nice job. 2 series for the defense. They allowed 4 first downs. And then had that interception there to end the second drive.
What did Tim Patrick say, by the way? They got him a 15-yard penalty.
So that was it. I didn't realize.
It was so soft.
Well, he kind of dropped the ball in Jalen Jones' face. That was his first catch like in 3 years or something?
Well, I thought, wait, was it that long? I know he got injured last season, or was he injured before the season last year? So he didn't get to.
I thought he's had like back-to-back season-ending injuries.
Oh, did he? I didn't know if it'd been that long since he made a reception. And a couple years ago, he was seen as a really good player.
Right.
They gave him a contract, if I'm not mistaken. It was even one of those on the TV broadcast. Ventura was like, all right, like he's kind of dropped the ball in front of the DB's face.
Well, honestly, the Colts needed that.
15 yards? What are you doing?
At that point, because Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick both had a couple of big completions. I thought, oh boy, here we go. Here to start things on the defensive side of the ball. I thought, again, if you really wanted to be like, Kevin, you have to dissect these starting series like no other. You got to treat them like it's a final of law school. You know, it's the bar. Here we go. I'd give the starting offense a D-. I'd give the starting defense a B-.
Okay.
Tim Patrick's last catch was in 2021.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I would have lost money. I did not see that stat. I did not know, man. He was a good player. It's been 3 years.
Reacted
that
like
long?
that, and part of me was like, damn, dude, really? In the preseason? And then
I
kind of remembered, I was like, wait, he's been hurt a lot, isn't he? Or hasn't he? And then I looked it up, and I was like, yeah, 2021.
All right, can I give you, before we dive into a morning checkdown, can I give you one area that I'm just – it's an item that I'm putting in the back of my mind. I'm not being an alarmist. This guy's not going anywhere. I'm bringing it up so I can throw it out there to the masses. So if it does become an issue, or if it's rectified, that we can go back to it. But I'm putting it on the record here on the Wake Up Call.
Here we go.
Listen, I know it was a 54-yarder that Matt Gay missed yesterday. So Matt Gay was 1 of 2 yesterday. You know, last year, Matt Gay was not good over 50 yards. Matt Gay missed 8 field goals last year, and that's crazy. You know, you go back to 2022, he was 28 of 30 with the Rams, 32 of 34 the year before, only played 7 games in 2020. It was 14 of 16. I don't know. I just, 50-yard field goals are rather common in the NFL. Is there any worry of Matt Gay from distance, as he struggled last year from distance and he missed his first one this year? And again, I know it's preseason football and we're talking kickers, but I had to throw it out there because I'm burying it in the back of my mind. If they miss one week 1 that's from 52 yards, I'm going to go back and say we have a little bit of data of Matt Gay struggling from 50 and beyond.
Mark,
anything?
I hate to put this on Mark's
boy.
Homework here, mid-show homework. Mark, can you look up 50-yard field goals? What are NFL kickers?
Like percentage for overall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Last year, he was 8 of 13. I'm just giving you the numbers.
60-some%?
Yeah, he was 8. I mean, otherwise, he was good.
What do you think NFL kickers are from north of 50?
He was great inside 40 yards last year. He was automatic. He missed 1 only. He was 18 of 19.
Now, I bring that up
40.
to say this. You're paying him too much money to be league average. Like, you are paying him, right up there with any other kicker. I don't know, the Harrison Butker thing probably pushed him down the list a little bit, but you are paying him a large amount of money to not be league average. I am genuinely curious, like, what is league average from north of 50 yards? Because, last year you watch him doink 53-yarder, seemingly after 53-yarder off the upright, and you're like, damn, Is it still a coin flip from north of 50 yards? Is it better than a coin
like
flip?
He doesn't have to be Tucker of Baltimore, but he's got to be.
But you're paying him too much money.
But he's got to be better.
Chase McLaughlin.
Exactly. He's got to be better than what he is.
And I'm not trying to have Chase McLaughlin catch strays on this Monday morning. Very nice guy. I believe he calls Indianapolis home. But you know what I'm saying. Cairo Santos, or your average NFL kicker here. Will Lutz, right? Was that the Bronco kicker yesterday? That, I think, is a fair concern of like, is this like they need to have a kicker battle? Like Spencer Schrader from Notre Dame needs to be in a kicker battle. No,
it's not that.
But it's just like, wait a minute, are you getting the proper return on investment for how much money you gave him?
So you see it like I do.
I do. I'm not like, we need to lead off Shane Steichen's press conference the next time he talks
with a kicker question.
Do you have a kicker battle issue?
Field goal percentage was at 85.9% last season.
That is all field goals.
I'm trying to find just like 50-yarders.
See,
I'm not finding it yet.
I'm finding 50 plus, but I don't know how many these guys have kicked. That's my problem.
Yes, I don't know, 70-ish.
Well, I'm looking the top.
Maybe that's too high.
There was last year 5 guys who did not miss over 50 yards, and then you have guys like Santos, who you mentioned, Jake Elliott, Fernbairn, if you remember him, Boswell, Zerline, Moody, Nick Folk, all those guys, McLaughlin, you mentioned him, they're all up over 80. All of them are up over 80% from 50-plus last year.
And the thing about, too, that stands out for Matt Gay is obviously he was great in Baltimore. Remember last year, single-handedly kind of won you that game in inclement weather. 80-some% of his games are indoors. That's a huge...
That's good for him, yeah.
Huge advantage there. League-wide, 68% last year from 50 yards plus.
So he's league.
So he's about 61.
Yeah, so he's about league average.
A little below average, which I think to summarize it, you're paying him too much money to be a little below average.
I would agree.
You need him to be above average. So, 54. The kick looked fine. I guess it was just a little bit of a hook. Let's monitor it. I don't think Spencer Schrader from Notre Dame needs to be in a kicking competition.
No, I don't think so either. Hey, that's your guy. You got the Notre Dame baseball jersey on.
Hey, here we go. 2.5 weeks away.
College baseball?
No.
Or what? College
station.
football. I was about to say. You're nervous on that one. You're still nervous.
Very nervous. Yeah.
You see Texas A&M lost one of their starting running backs. You see that? Out for the season.
Running backs
Ruben Owens.
Ain't a left tackle like Notre Dame has lost, leading into what that environment will look like here coming up August 31st. All right, coming up in a bit, was there an injury reason for Tyrese Haliburton not playing in Paris? We will talk about that. Speaking of Paris, let's hit a morning checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by Butler Bulldogs Basketball. Season tickets are on sale now. Order by August 1st for your shot at the best seats in Hinkle Fieldhouse. Visit butlersports.com/buy tickets.
All right, Micah Abraham. Hey, how about this? Sixth rounder, Marshall, cornerback, had a big play trying to make the team, trying to be the backup there behind Kenny Moore. Made one of the bigger plays of the entire day there in the second half. Had the strip, had the return for a touchdown. Here's head coach Shane Steichen on what he saw or didn't see with that play.
I didn't see that he stripped it. I just saw him get it, and then I was like, dang, who got the strip? And they were like, he did. I'm like, holy smokes. And then I saw it back on the Jumbotron. It was a hell of a play by him. That's always great to see. You get these late-round draft picks, go make plays, you know what I mean? Go make a name for yourself, and obviously he made a big-time play there.
Yeah, good for him. Again, he's 5'10". He doesn't have the measurables of a normal Chris Ballard corner, but...
Son of Donnie Abraham, nephew of Tim Jennings.
So he's got the bloodlines, as they would say. So good for him. He made one of the bigger plays yesterday. Now, I wanted to give you this piece of sound coming from A.D. Mitchell. I found this to be interesting. Obviously, he had the one catch yesterday. I did find it intriguing. They did try him inside, so you had looks where he and Alec Pierce were on the field at the same time. Again,
which was something to note on Friday's practice. We should probably hit on that at some point. Life without Josh Downs for however long.
It's real.
Could be A.D. Mitchell.
Yeah, they're going to try new things. So A.D. Mitchell moves inside, has not done a lot of that, obviously, in his collegiate career, and he was asked about that post-game.
I just feel like, it's nothing that I can't physically do. So it's just about kind of grasping the whole mental side of the game. That's a whole different world out there, on the outside, it's one-on-ones, maybe get doubled a little bit, but on the inside, you working in boxes and triangles. So I just want to keep learning right there so that I could just expand my game.
Rather quiet day for Mitchell and Pierce in that battle. Both of them, I thought, were really good at Friday's practice, something I do want to hit on here eventually. Luke reaches out and goes, I was at the Colts' second preseason game last year. If they follow the historical trend, they're going to announce that they are not playing their starters moments before the game, so they sell tickets while they have a bunch of 8-year-old girls on the field for cheerleading camp.
Well, if you remember last year, Anthony Richardson
Which means the
did
crowd
warm
can't
up.
boo,
Right,
Luke,
right.
Luke points out.
Richardson did warm up last year, if you remember, and then ended up not playing at all.
That's why we are here to give you the past precedent says starters will not play. So
Tell Philadelphia Eagles fans if you can boo an 8-year-old
take
dancing.
that info.
You asked them.
Junior Colts cheerleaders outstanding yesterday during the halftime. All right, other items of note. Mark Dykton, cue it up. I'm going to miss it.
We have one more Olympic update in the 9 o'clock hour, and then that music disappears for the next 4 years.
So, I mean, we tied China in golds, but we obviously win the tiebreaker, right? Because we won most medals.
Yeah, we won the tiebreaker. I think they go to silver medals. I thought I saw that was a tiebreaker.
We can bust this music out for the
congratulations.
Winter Olympics when we break it down.
Yeah, 2026.
Yeah.
We will break it back out. We aren't going to go to the World Championships coming up next year. By all accounts, it was tremendous Olympics for the United States. Certainly track and field. David Woods had this stat. 34 medals in track and field, the most on foreign soil for the U.S. since 1912. Over the weekend, we talked about it. We'll do it more on the other side. The men's basketball team, Steph Curry, the USA Basketball tweeted out golden dagger. Well, that was a pretty accurate way to describe not one, not two, not three, 4 threes from Steph there in the final few minutes of that game to end any dreams of France pulling off that upset. And boy, the women, they survived to say the least. 61 straight now Olympic wins for them. They were very fortunate to escape that one. Gabby Williams for France hit a tie, what thought, initially that could have been a tying shot at the buzzer. Pretty clear her foot was on the line there, so the U.S. women escaped to win gold. And the women's soccer team beat Brazil for the gold medal.
How about
so
that?
Those are some items of note over the weekend there as we wrap up things from Paris.
Did you see your boy Noah Lyles? He left France without COVID. Did you notice that? He said, thank God, finally testing negative for COVID. He put the negative test out there for naysayers like Kevin Bowen.
Well, given how the men ran that 4x100 relay, I don't blame him for bouncing out of that.
Why do
one.
we stink
That
at
was
the
a junior high effort.
Why do we stink at that?
We're
We're
can't
great at
pass the
everything
baton.
else. What is
I
going
don't
on?
know.
Why are we bad
I've got no
at that?
explanation.
I mean, we're great at everything else.
I felt like we were
right?
the only team. In any of the relays I saw, I feel like we were the only team to drop the baton.
I know. It's like, how's Botswana beating us by 10 seconds?
They got that dude that can book it.
Well, they said that stat. What was it?
The
The
200
The U.S. hasn't medaled in that event in like 20-something years.
Medaled.
It's crazy.
Not just one, medaled. Yeah,
Right.
that was absolutely shocking. A couple other NFL preseason items of note. Shout out to the local guys. Carson Steele, Austin Booker, a couple Center Grove Trojans there. Very nice preseason debuts for them. Booker, a couple sacks for Mark's Bears. And Carson Steele running dudes over for the Kansas City Chiefs. I know he was on last week with Greg Rakestraw. So nice debut for the Ball State UCLA product.
Yeah, quickly, Major League Baseball. Reds salvage 1 in Milwaukee, 4-3 your final yesterday, 3-0 the Sounds over the Indians. And the Cubbies got yesterday off. How about that,
Yeah,
Mark? No idea that was
the White
case.
Sox twice, and they said, take Sunday off.
Yeah, they're done.
You've earned it.
Cubbies and Guardians coming up tonight, Reds and Cardinals as well. You got anything else?
No.
Okay, you good to go? Let's do go to the weekend. I got one that I want to get off my chest. We can do go to the weekend. We'll continue our Colts.
We got to hit on this Tyrese Haliburton injury
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
the Colts conversation, and was Tyrese Haliburton injured there in France? We'll talk about it all coming up next. Appreciate you hanging out with us on this Monday. Wake up call 93.5 107.5 The Fan.
Really nice start to this Monday here in Indianapolis. We're breaking down a lot from the Colts preseason opener. Thank you to Joe Wright, who joined us earlier in the show. That'll be up on the podcast. We'll certainly get back to plenty to take away from yesterday's preseason opener here in just a second. Tyrese Haliburton, I think, stole social media over the weekend with his tweet of a sheepish grin with the gold medal around his neck. When you ain't do none on the group project and still get an A. That is what the caption read. None, N-U-N, for those out there curious on the
like a nun
pronunciation. Yes, exactly. Shout out to the sisters out there. I guess he did do something to get invited to be on the group project, right? You got to be invited to this group project. You can't they just don't pawn you off and say, well, everybody's got to do a group project. He got invited to it. So, congrats to Tyrese Haliburton.
Plus he's a big-time basketball player, so, everyone wants a basketball player in their group project, and that, maybe the athlete's not going to do as much as the rest of us. Sure, we all ran into that in high school a couple times, right?
Now, how about Derek White also getting the old bench for the gold medal
he did.
game? Joel Embiid pretty much got benched after the start of that game, so a little bit of a different rotation for Steve Kerr there. As Steph Curry threw in flamethrower dagger after flamethrower dagger after flamethrower dagger there against the French to secure that gold medal. Brian Windhorst of ESPN did have this in the aftermath of Team USA's victory, a little bit more on Haliburton. Windhorst, who was over in Paris, has followed Team USA around now for the last couple of years, said Tyrese Haliburton was slow to the Olympics by a minor leg injury. Team USA did not announce it, but he had an MRI, sources said, and was caught in a numbers game, alluding to the lack of playing time. Minor leg injury, MRI necessary. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it scares me. Number one, he was in a numbers game regardless of the leg injury. We all can agree there. I guess secondly, and I don't know, maybe we'll find out if the Pacers had anything to do with this, but Haliburton was not playing in these games, and I wonder if they would have, why didn't they throw out there that he had a leg injury? I guess, what would be the point of not throwing it out there? The first couple games, KB, I also would love to know the timing of the MRI. Was it at the very beginning of the 2 weeks? Was it, this past week? Was it more towards the semifinals and the finals? But, I think it got to a point to where, for me, I almost felt a little, not embarrassed for Tyrese, but he went there and, Jason Tatum went through his nonsense, but Haliburton very much became the face of not playing. He was the only guy who did not play on this team. And so, I don't know, you see him sitting there. I can understand it's a numbers game, but why not throw out there that there's a leg injury? And then the second thing I would go is, this hamstring injury bothered him for how many months? The last 4 months of the season. It bothered him. He had the injury in the playoffs as well. I guess it does worry me. I guess I'm medium well, I guess is how I would say it on my worry, just because he's had a couple lower body injuries. It affected him. It affected the team last season as well. So I guess it's worth watching. These are supposed to be the weeks and months where Tyrese gets healthy so he can go play, 100 some odd games next season.
And just to remind people, bless you, Mark, the last time we saw Haliburton in the Olympics was Tuesday. He did play against Brazil. He got the big walk-on minutes.
He played about 8 minutes.
But the final 8:15 of that game against Brazil, did not play, understandably, against Serbia. Obviously, the team was down a ton. And
so you think it was at the front end of the Olympics that he got injured and he was fine by the second week of the Olympics, maybe? But by then, you're in the semifinals, right?
I guess the counter to that, but why would he even play? I guess, was it enough to play a little bit? I don't know. It just seems kind of odd.
Yeah, why
Obviously,
play him 8 minutes if he's got an injury?
We don't have much clarity or detail outside of this. So he didn't play Thursday against Serbia, and then, of course, did not play Saturday against France. There was a couple moments there late, Andy, that I kind of sat there and thought, boy, I think it'd be a nice moment, and I'm a sucker for this. It'd be a nice moment if Steve Kerr could take Durant, Steph, and LeBron out together and just kind of let that crowd, hell, even the French crowd, I feel like would have to have a little bit of a reaction to that. And then you put Derek White, Tyrese in the game. You put everybody, so everybody's gotten at least a minute in the gold medal game. The state final game of, everybody gets in there, even if it's just for 10, 15 seconds. And I get that some of these NBA players might not care about that, but, at least you show up in the box score of the gold medal game. Maybe I'm overreading this. Does the Haliburton injury, contribute a little bit to it? He was dressed for what it's worth, in each of these semifinal and gold medal games there. But, yeah, I don't like hearing about another leg injury in particular. Like, one thing if it was whatever, a shoulder or a wrist or something else, but, don't love hearing about another leg injury. And, you're a month and a half away from training camp. So this is easily the quietest time for the NBA. You would think if the focus is, and I think Tyrese even said this at the end of the season, a focus of mine is about putting on some weight, trying to become a stronger defender, literally, like with my physicality. Does any of this hinder that? Does this medical team and the Pacers say, dude, you just need rest? You didn't get the rest with Team USA. Yes, you didn't play a lot, but you didn't get the straight-up rest. Does this make them say, hey, ideally, we'd put weight on you? But we don't care about that. 82-game season is starting in, opening night is probably 2 months away? A little over 2 months?
Yeah.
So,
we're going to be so engrossed in football, it's going to creep up on us.
Right.
It's going to happen.
So, I think training camp, I want to say media day is the 30th of September. So, again, about a month and a half away from training camp starting. Does that, hinder any of this for Haliburton? I do think that's a question that I have.
Yeah, he wasn't right the second half of the season. And he let us know that he wasn't right the second half of the season.
Yeah, there were some Jekyll and Hyde moments in the playoffs.
I know.
Certainly, we went over that a lot in the Knicks series. He was outstanding in Game 7. But, how much of that was assertiveness? How much of that was lack of, again, fully 100%? I think he finally admitted after the season that he wasn't full go. But, yeah, I just think this is something we're probably going to have to watch when the season rolls around. Just, where is he at health-wise? And, probably a reason why the Andrew Nembhard contract makes even more sense.
Sure. That's a great point with the Nembhard contract. I don't know, man. I also need to know what leg injury it is. Same leg. Is it? I think it's fair to wonder, and we're probably not going to find out. I don't know. When you call Rick Carlisle, is it a hamstring? Is it him dealing with another hammy injury? And if it's not the one hamstring, is it the other for overcompensating as well? I those are always things that can happen to guys when they're overcompensating.
One thing I did love from this weekend, Olympic-wise, I loved seeing Nikola Jokic celebrate the Serbian bronze medal like he did.
He was so happy.
This is a dude that wins an NBA title and acts like it was game 53 of the regular season.
Did you see what he did? He won the bronze, and he got the hell out of there, and he went back, and he was seen the next day at the horse track in Serbia.
First,
he's betting horses.
Again, the bronze medal game was at 5 a.m. Saturday morning our time.
Yeah.
The gold medal game was at 3:30 p.m. For those that were not watching the aftermath, the bronze medal winner, Serbia, has to come back for the medal podium ceremony. So that's a long time to celebrate.
It's a little bit of a wait.
For Serbia, you're celebrating your bronze medal.
You're damn right you are.
And so those boys did in very what looked like Serbian fashion to me. So a few, maybe sauced up individuals there on the bronze medal podium. And then, yes, Senor Jokic headed back to, he was at the horse track?
I just love, he looks like, If you are a horse racing bettor, there you can go to any track in America, okay? You can go to Churchill Downs, an hour and a half down the road, and you will see on a Wednesday, okay?
Hour and a half? Are you booking it?
2 hours. Yes, I do. I drive about 85, 88 miles per hour.
The cops in Seymour gunning you down.
Well, we've had to avoid a few times on the pilgrimage down there, but you can go to any place in the world that has horse racing, and you will see a guy who looks just like Joker, who's wearing a tank top and sweatpants.
Maybe not 7 foot and 300 pounds, or 7 foot 280.
He doesn't have $300 million plus in the bank, and he hasn't won MVPs and world championships and Olympic medals and everything else. But you will see a guy in a tank top and sweatpants at any horse racing track in America.
I know. Steph Curry, Durant, LeBron, out of this world. All three of them. I do want to give a hat tip, though, to Anthony Davis and Devin Booker. I thought those two extremely accepting of their roles. I thought they were two of the more consistent American players. You think about the bench unit or the other guys, it's kind of a mixed bag. Embiid certainly was a mixed bag. Anthony Edwards, I thought the moment kind of got to him a little bit there in the semifinal game and the gold medal as well.
Well, Tatum was in and out of the lineup.
Derek White obviously didn't play in the gold medal game. I thought Booker, as kind of like this defender, you don't really think of, hell, he's such a gifted scorer. You don't think of him in that way. And then the gold medal game, again, Embiid exits early. You needed somebody to turn to. And Anthony Davis was like scrapping, getting offensive rebound buckets there. I just thought those two guys, for accepting roles where you're not the star players, I thought both of them did that.
Now, Mark, you pulled the final 3 there by Steph Curry, and then you have a mashup of the 4 threes. What do you want to hear?
I got to
KB?
hear both.
You want to hear everything?
All right. The 4 threes, the last one is the golden dagger one. So let's just play the whole all-encompassing one right here.
Curry, jab, triple, he sticks it!
Steph, say calm down, everybody.
It's Curry, step back, pump, Curry, ridiculous!
That's unfair.
Steph Curry, back, kick, Curry, again? You already know! Curry, dancing on Batum, over the double team. Oh! It's a golden dagger!
That's so great.
So good. Noah Eagle and Dwayne Wade. I know early Wade I thought was a little much. I thought they were outstanding.
No, I felt watching that, honestly, on Saturday, and you said this about Serbia, we were watching something memorable and historic, something we would not forget. And Curry hitting those threes, the crowd going crazy, him saying, hey, everyone's going to sleep, and they win a gold medal because of that. To me, I see it as one of the landmark moments, I feel like, in basketball history that I remember in my life.
That's
not crazy, is it?
Like you just pointed out. I said it Friday morning. I don't want to speak in hyperbole. I felt that way about the Serbian game, and then I'm sitting there watching it, the gold medal game, and felt that way again. The French bench reaction to all 4 of them were just incredible because each moment they think, here we are.
Yep.
We've got a chance. We're going to put real game pressure on them. Boom, boom, boom. And then the last one with Durant and LeBron wide open. The shot clock was dwindling. It wasn't at 2 or 1.
No.
And when he hit that one, golden dagger, Noah Eagle, great work.
And him just Eagle going, oh, that's how we all felt.
Yeah.
Like it was a broadcaster basically saying, hey, here's what America thinks about that shot. Just unbelievable stuff there. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 2. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Wake up call here on this Monday on The Fan.
Well, if we had a highlight reel to open up this 9 o'clock hour, where would we go? We go the Micah Abraham strip fumble return for a touchdown. DJ Montgomery had a couple nice catches from Sam Ehlinger. I don't know, would you throw in the Kenny Moore interception?
You're listing things exactly why I didn't make one.
I'm probably not going to go to a DJ Montgomery catch.
Oh, you're not going there?
I'll probably go with Micah's strip and
Kenny
run
Moore's
to the
pick?
end zone or Kenny Moore. Yeah, those would be the top two.
That was the old juggle, Zaire Franklin hit, boom, balls in the air, and then lo and behold, of course, Kenny Moore's right there to be on it for the interception there.
Yeah, no shock there. It's Kenny Moore. What about your Notre Dame guy? He's the one that got the ball stripped from him, right? Estime. Wasn't he the one?
Yeah.
Well, he was the one. Otherwise, I thought he was all right. I was watching him just for you.
So are you sold on Bo Nix after what he did to the Colts?
Am I sold on Bo Nix? No, but I'm sure as hell more sold on him than Zach Wilson. Like, if you're Denver, you have a couple nice pieces. Now, I don't know what their offensive line looks like. Again, Garrett Bowles got worked by Tyquan Lewis and Liatu Latu yesterday for the most part, but I don't know. Like, if I'm a Broncos fan, and I got, $100 million invested in Sean Payton and everything else. I mean, don't you gotta play Bo Nix? I mean, like Jared Stidham. What are you gonna do this thing where you play Jared Stidham for 3-4 games and you're 1-3, you're 1-5 in week 7? You say, this is the time we're gonna go to Bo Nix. Like, why not just go right to Bo Nix? I guess.
Will they do the Colts thing where it's like we have a competition and then basically
not a competition.
I think it was like last year is when they were like, Anthony Richardson's our starter.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know if you need to play that game anymore in the NFL. Like, I don't know. Let me ask you this, not to do too much Denver Bronco talk, but just in general, if you had Sam Darnold, so Sam Darnold is a Minnesota Viking right now. So they're going to play this game with J.J. McCarthy. But I view, even though I have laughed at Sam Darnold basically his entire career, I guess I feel like Darnold is better than Zach Wilson or Jared Stidham. So if they decided to do the charade for a month and a half, and go there in Minnesota and not start J.J. McCarthy, I get it. But I don't know. I mean, with Bo Nix, you can run that kind of read option stuff, the fake handoffs. I don't know. Well, Bo Nix played 61 games in college, too. That's a lot of games.
Certainly you would think when the Colts see the Broncos, that would be December 15th in Denver. It will be Bo Nix
you would imagine
that
so,
point,
yeah.
Assuming, health checks out for him. Again, the Colts are at Denver coming up in mid-December. Obviously, when you get to preseason football, the most important thing is health. 18 starters played for the Colts yesterday. It's a big number. I mean, Jonathan Taylor got 2 carries. I would not have guessed
surprised
Jonathan Taylor would have even played, let alone got 2 carries in the game. All 18, for what it's worth, appeared to exit in good health. So that is important. We did see Trey Sermon, who I think has the lead on that backup running back spot. He left due to a hamstring injury, so that's probably something to note. Again, this is a massive overreaction to 7 offensive snaps for the starters, 12 defensive snaps for the defensive starters. If you're going to make me grade out, how did the starting offense look? How did the starting defense look? I give the offense probably a D-, Andy.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And, the run game didn't really do anything. I didn't think the offensive line really controlled line of scrimmage. I thought Richardson, the passing game, was just off with timing and accuracy. And then defensively, I'd probably give it a B-. Allowed a couple of, early pass plays, certainly aided by some penalties. I mean, the interception was a nice play and obviously was started because Denver's inability to catch the football is what contributed to that interception. But again, I thought Tyquan Lewis and Grover Stewart and Zaire Franklin and Kenny Moore all made plays you would want out of them. Latu, of course, as we've talked about all morning long, I thought looked really good against a quality left tackle. So, maybe a little bit of a higher grade, certainly on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, for me, the grades, I love that D- and B-. The old D-, you didn't want to just go full F. You went D-. You saved them a shred of integrity.
They didn't turn the ball over. Now we're really nitpicking.
No.
They got 1 first down, right?
Yeah, they did.
Mo Alley Cox.
It was a good throw. Listen, we are inconsistent on these things, and I get it. I'm not even saying it's wrong. So Anthony Richardson is whatever. I mean, there was nothing great. There was nothing terrible, but there was nothing great. I thought the play on the right sideline to Granson just has to be a better throw. That's one of those you leave yourself about at 4th down in about a yard and a half or so. And it's one of those that Shane Steichen is gritting his teeth if that happens in the regular season.
That's a route you
punt.
throw it in stride.
You throw it in stride. He catches it.
It's a crossing route. You got to give the guy a chance after the catch.
It was bad timing. The throw was behind him. So it was compounded. It was you didn't throw it on time, and then you didn't put it out in front of him to where he can make that catch immediately, go maybe even dive and get that first down. So, Anthony, listen, there wasn't anything special that we saw there yesterday. I think this is also a little bit of, even when we get to the regular season, KB, probably a little bit of what we're going to get from AR. And that is, you're going to have some series where it might be a quick 3 and out. The flip side is you're going to get big plays. And, being in there for 7 snaps or whatever it was, those 2 possessions, you're not getting any good feel on, okay, we're setting you up defensively so then we can either go down the field, he can hit a big run, JT can hit a big run. So to me, I don't overreact on that sort of stuff. Sure, if he, I said this earlier, if he was 4 of 4 and hit a 55-yarder down the seam or something, it's something we would be talking about a lot this morning. Latu, you mentioned a positive. Latu, obviously, Kenny Moore, right spot, right time, as it seemingly happens for Kenny Moore every single season. And then, I would say the negatives for me, we've talked about on this show. Dallas Flowers is a twisted ankle or a shoulder or whatever it may be from from being in the game. And to me, when we talk about depth at that position of corner, last year, Juju Brents played in 9 games, and he didn't even start all those games. He played in 9 games. And so when you look at what they have at corner, to me, depth-wise, I have serious concern if you have to go to Dallas Flowers if he's ready. Now, he's got a couple weeks here. I know he's coming off that Achilles injury. I think week 5, whatever it was, last year in October. But to me, I'm worried about that. We talked about Matt Gay, who was about 61% from beyond 50 yards last year. He missed a 54-yarder yesterday. When you're paying him that type of money, you're expecting him to look a little bit more like Justin Tucker than maybe a guy who is an average NFL kicker, and he has been a little bit below average in the last calendar year, kicking balls over 50 yards. And then the other thing, we haven't talked about this, and I'm wondering, I know you were at the game. I was watching the game, obviously, and Coach Venturi talked a lot about this. Trey Sermon leaves with a little bit of an injury. We'll see exactly how serious. I don't think it is, but we shall see. And it feels like he is for sure the backup running back. As we go this week, I'm wondering, does it need to be that way? And
I'd be surprised if they don't sign a running back just for a body, because the other injury yesterday was Trent Penix, an undrafted free agent who I thought has actually had a pretty nice camp. He plays running back for those unfamiliar who he is. So, right now, unless I'm missing somebody, I think they only have 4 healthy running backs, which in an NFL practice, that's not a lot.
Yeah, and they didn't do anything yesterday. Everyone was 2 yards a carry, basically. Hall, 2 yards. Goodson, 2 yards. Jonathan Taylor, 2 yards. all of them yesterday. So they didn't get the run game going, whether the frontline guys or the backups. But Venturi talked about this during the broadcast through the eyes of, hey, Trey Sermon is the guy, and it feels like that's a for sure thing. Should that be a for sure thing? Was kind of the conversation he was having. I like Evan Hall, who got 1 play last year before he tore his knee up. So, I'd like to see him in at some point. It's obviously going to be Sermon, but I don't know if you heard that conversation, but Venturi multiple times on the TV broadcast was wondering, hey, I know it's Trey Sermon. Does it have to be Trey Sermon? Can these guys work their way into more of a role on this team? I'm guessing not, but that was a conversation he had yesterday.
I don't think it's written in Sharpie, but I think he's definitely the favorite to be the second running back. I don't know if Tyler Goodson or Evan Hall have all of a sudden done, a ton of stuff to deserve that, but still, you're probably, again, a little bit in flux there, or at least open-minded to how those reps look behind Jonathan Taylor. I did want to mention A.D. Mitchell and Alec Pierce, because at Friday's practice, it was easily the best day we've seen for the passing offense so far in camp. And obviously, when you have a Friday practice followed by a Sunday preseason game, you don't talk about the Friday practice. But I want to go back to that because that's the first day without Josh Downs. So how would the Colts handle that? And you saw it in the preseason game yesterday. The Colts put A.D. Mitchell in the slot. Now, this is not unless I'm mistaken, I don't believe he did this at Texas. And when you think about slot receivers in the NFL, they're not really built like A.D. Mitchell, 6'2", 210 pounds, that sort of thing. And I thought Mitchell, for what it's worth on Friday's practice, I thought he had a really nice day. He was targeted, I think it was 3 times by Anthony Richardson. All 3 were completions. Alec Pierce also had a really nice day. Now, yesterday in the game, again, you have to unfortunately evaluate the reps that you see. They're not an abundance of reps, so we overreact to the small sample size. Alec Pierce got an opportunity to win a route the Colts want him to improve on. He had that slant route kind of early. I think it might have been with Flacco, and he didn't win that. And the ball got broken up. It was incomplete. And again, those are plays you want to see Pierce win. Mitchell did have 1 catch yesterday, so that will be something I think to watch Wednesday, Thursday, and moving on. Is if Josh Downs is going to miss any regular season time, my initial thought was Anthony Gould, the 5th-round pick out of Oregon State as a receiver. But it looks like they're going to try A.D. Mitchell there, initially at least, and see what he can offer you. So we've gotten into this, Mitchell versus Pierce. If Downs has to miss a game or 2 to start the season, it could be both on the field.
Yeah, it's
together.
Mitchell. It's Mitchell and Pierce.
And again, Mitchell's skill set is different than Pierce in this area. The shorter areas of the field, Mitchell theoretically excels in. Think about when we had Josh Downs on the show, Andy. What did Josh Downs say he wanted skill set wise of somebody else in the wideout room? He wanted the wiggle of A.D. Mitchell. Guys have talked about, what did Michael Pittman Jr. say to us? He loves the releases of A.D. Mitchell. So again, Pierce, straight line runner, think more vertically. Mitchell, a guy that could theoretically do some of this. So I think that's something to watch here as the Colts wrap up work here at Grand Park Wednesday and Thursday.
We played in the 8 o'clock hour. Here's A.D. Mitchell after the game talking about playing in the slot.
I just feel like, it's nothing that I can't physically do. So it's just about kind of grasping the whole mental side of the game. That's a whole different world out there, on the outside, it's one-on-ones, maybe get doubled a little bit. But on the inside, you working in boxes and triangles. So I just want to keep learning right there so that I could just expand my game.
All right, go ahead.
Well,
Sorry.
I'll just add this. I think it is a credit to A.D. Mitchell that the staff feels comfortable attempting this with him. They clearly feel like he can grasp a lot of because when you think about it, a lot of these are kind of option routes, and a lot of it is, I would say it's much more specific timing. And you've got to be pinpoint with your footwork, with, much more of a confined area of space. When you're outside, I think your athletic ability naturally shows a little bit more. So, again, something that I did not expect late last week when we were trying to ponder ideas with Josh Downs potentially going to miss some time. But A.D. Mitchell is going to get a look there.
Why didn't we? Because I'm with you. I feel like this is something, KB, that we talked about off the air and didn't talk about on the air.
Well, teams don't do this a whole lot with their rookies. Like, teams don't throw, and the Colts have been this way at a variety of positions. We want you to learn one position as a rookie. Don't overwhelm you too much. See if you can grasp that, and then if you can, okay, let's throw a little bit more on your plate. And so that was kind of my assumption. And, I probably stereotyped A.D. Mitchell too much.
Right.
Even though I think he's different than Alec Pierce. Again, you just don't see, tall, 200-pound slot wideouts in the league. Guys move around, and the Colts are going to move Pittman into the slot, and
a tight end will play there occasionally.
That happens. But when you think about traditional slot wideouts, it's Welker, it's Edelman, it's guys like Josh Downs. I mean, Josh Downs is what, 5'10", 190 pounds, something like that. So this will be a little bit of a wrinkle to the old Mitchell versus Pierce battle that we've seen through the first 9 or 10 days at Grand Park.
I like it, and I'm to the point too. Josh Downs has talked about, hey, I can go play outside, to even play around with some of this stuff when Downs is back. I mean, to me, it's all about getting the best players on the field. I mean, don't you think Steichen's got to feel that way with some of this? That it's all about the best guys on the field. And even though Alec Pierce has left a lot to be desired in his couple years here in Indianapolis, still, you'd imagine the coaching staff feels if Downs is out, having A.D. Mitchell and Pierce on the field, the drop-off there with A.D. Mitchell and Anthony Gould or maybe the third tight end has to be substantial, is it not? I mean, the things that A.D. Mitchell can do or Drew Ogletree, they ain't the same on the field.
No, no.
That's a different target for Anthony Richardson to throw the ball to. I give Mitchell credit, for learning this, for being able to learn this and everything else.
And again, just to run down the tight end playing time from yesterday, I guess more the order that they got on the field. It was Mo Alley-Cox, Kylan Granson, Drew Ogletree, Jelani Woods, Will Mallory in that order there. So do you keep 4? Do you have the luxury of keeping 5? If you read off that, Mallory, who's been banged up at camp, would be the 5th man.
But you just drafted him, right? I mean, don't you feel that way? You
so
just
if you
drafted
keep
him.
Are you cutting Jelani Woods?
I know that's the other thing.
So
I know.
This is just part of the 2 weeks from tomorrow. Again, it's just one big cut. 90 to 53. They do not do the 90 to 75 like they used to, or anything like that. It's the one big cut from 90 to 53. So 2 joint practices this week. Saturday is going to be a heavy back of the roster game. That has turned into your starters really don't play if you have the joint practices. The Colts have the joint practices. The expectation is the starters will not play. That means plenty of time for these guys, whereas the final preseason game, that is now turned into a little bit of a dress rehearsal. Again, if the Colts operate like they did last year in the preseason, barely any starters will play Saturday night. Starters should play around 1:45 next Thursday in Cincinnati. That's it. You have roster cuts then the Tuesday after that. So time is ticking. It's going to tick pretty quickly here for these guys and exactly what the roster is going to look like.
Well, football's around the corner. If you've stepped outside in the morning the last couple mornings, I love it, KB.
Chris, I love it.
I went out, took a little gas out yesterday. We drank some coffee outside on Saturday and Sunday. How fantastic
I walked to the car today and thought to myself,
you didn't sweat?
Is college game day on at 9 a.m.? That was my first thought.
Where's Pat McAfee and Kirk Herbstreit?
Will the Washington State flag be flying high at college game day today?
Yeah, I know that's a great story, but enough with that guy. Enough with Washington State. I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing it. Get it off my college game day. It's time for that, that era to come to an end.
Are we doing our goats of the week?
Let's do it right now.
Who is the GOAT?
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time.
Jordan, here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good!
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Or GOAT?
This guy sucks.
Of the week.
I haven't heard that in a while there, Mark. I forgot how
feels good, doesn't it?
That was done. Again, just
football season's around the corner.
You're damn right.
Just to refresh everybody on that, we hand out our goats of the weekend around football season, and this would be obviously all caps goats. Adam Vinatieri, the Tiger Woods of the world, but then also our lowercase goat as well. I'm sure there's one pretty obvious one from the weekend of the all uppercase goat.
Well, I mean, to me, the goat of the weekend, Steph Curry. Is anyone any different? Are you different? I mean, I know LeBron won MVP, but
I'm different.
Okay.
Well, I will be
Steph
different
Curry,
just
thank
to be
God
different.
for Steph Curry.
He is the greatest shooter ever. I think Kevin Durant's the greatest scorer of all time.
Yeah,
just
that's
pure
fun.
bucket getter score. I'm gonna go there. And honestly, again, it's just kind of a hat tip to Durant. Of that man is now the first ever men's basketball player from the U.S. to win 4 gold medals. And I go back to Tokyo when he's coming off the torn Achilles. No one wanted to play on that Olympic team in Tokyo. It's the COVID Olympics. No one wants to travel over there, and Durant plays. And that was a team that lost 2 games in the group stage. They had to beat France in the rematch of the gold medal game, and they did that largely because of Durant. And then for him to play through an injury this cycle. I mean, he easily could have gone home, with a calf injury, considering his history there. So you'll go GOAT for shooter there. That would be Steph. I'll go GOAT for score, Kevin Durant.
If there's a GOAT for the first weekend of the preseason, I'm going to go with Caleb Williams of the Chicago Bears.
Top 5 quarterback of all time.
Are they going to erect a statue at Soldier Field or the Arlington Heights?
They might erect a few things after Saturday at 1 p.m.
Sports arousal, that's what JMV calls it.
4 for 7 for 95 yards, including a 42-yard shot put throw to DeAndre Swift. I was not sure what exactly I was going to see. I was very happy with what I saw. I know it is preseason. I know it was a limited amount, but he eased me a little bit. He had a very beautiful throw, crossbody throw to Cole Kmet down the field. Even the announcers were impressed by that. So, yes, one game into the preseason for Caleb Williams, but I liked what I saw. He is my good GOAT of the week.
Week 3. Colts Bears, baby.
Can I ask you guys something?
Just about that? DJ Stroud, Jordan Love, Caleb Williams.
Hey,
first 3 weeks.
That's a hell of a start. Let me ask you something. How much in Kevin Bowen and Mark Dykton's mind does the gold medal do for guys? Like their career-wise, like how much do you put in? Like I guess I view Carmelo Anthony a little bit differently.
I think it's a really big deal.
Yeah. Okay. So you're on the side of it's a huge deal because some people aren't, but I am. I'm with you.
You're saying where on the career milestones does it go?
Yeah. I mean, Steph Curry wins one now and puts on that performance. We do add that to his career accomplishments. I thought it really helped Carmelo Anthony because he obviously never won a championship in the NBA.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, I don't want to act like, all of a sudden it should supersede NBA titles necessarily or, Durant's 4 gold medals. Compare that to Michael's, 1? Right? 2?
Yeah, I think he just played in the 1, did he not? Yeah.
So, yeah, I that's how I kind of view it. Now, internationally, like you watch Wembanyama in some tears afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
And, you see how the Serbian team reacted to their medal. I think that, to me, is also what stands out. I mean, you watch the international players win a medal, period, but particularly in the NBA, that, to me, also stands out.
I do love that we beat France in both the men's and the women's, and I know it was a great game, but there was something satisfying about that. I would say the last thing on the Olympic on the men's side, I am a little bit worried about 2028 in 4 years. Like, an Anthony Edwards, Ja Morant backcourt. I'm like,
can we just celebrate this one for now?
No, we can't do that. As soon as a team wins a Super Bowl,
Ja Morant will be arrested 3 times between now and 2028.
3? That's pretty low.
Who knows what's going to happen with Ja Morant?
Lowercase. Boy, it was
mine.
Unbelievable Olympics in the track and field.
Go ahead, say it.
The 4x100. We got to pass the baton. 20 years since we've won a medal.
We're not good at sharing.
We have the fastest sprinters. I mean, yes, Jamaica, will have a sprinter too, but from depth, we have great depth in the 4x100. Speed is not an issue. You would think if we almost just slowed down and handed it off like that, we could, maybe win a bronze medal there.
Well, they did slow down. They ran into each other.
Oh, that was so brutal. And it was the first exchange. And, of course, this is the dude subbing for Noah Lyle. And I know it necessarily wasn't that guy's fault. It was the second guy's fault based off the Otto Bolden expertise he was providing me there. But that was just so disheartening. Because I feel like the 4x100 is one of those iconic moments of the Olympics. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but, I think like the all around for the gymnastics, like that's something like everybody watches the floor routines, swimming, you get into some of those relays, everybody's into that. Well, like 4x100, that's a big deal. And we suck.
It makes no, it just
because we can't hand it off.
It makes
Remember
no,
the one
it
year
makes
that
no
we
sense.
dropped it?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
We were able to pass it off, but we dropped it. It's unbelievable.
I don't know why we're not good.
That's my lowercase.
All right, so here's mine. It's coming from the Olympics, the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. They said yesterday, KB, they all sat in the room or on the Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and they thought, boy, it's been a great Olympics. Everyone's saying how Paris has been fantastic as a host. And then they say, oh, yeah, by the way, American gymnast Jordan Childs, you did not win the floor exercise. You did not win a gold medal or a bronze medal. You're having that stripped from you. We're giving it to the girl from Romania.
So explain this. This is all because it was after the minute deadline?
So here's what's happened. Again, she won this on what was it, Wednesday? I mean, KB, we talked about it. It was Wednesday or Thursday, okay? So this is now...
Oh, it was like a week and a half ago.
So this is now 3-4 days later at least. The IOC announces on Sunday in the middle, hours before the closing ceremonies, that Jordan Childs did not win bronze, that the Romanian girl who was in tears, if you remember, Anna Barbusa, I believe is how you say her name, I probably butchered that, that she now is going to be awarded the bronze. What they're saying is that the United States was late in their appeal. So what happened was Childs was not third, she was fourth, and they said, wait a minute. Again, I don't know what all went into the inquiry, but you have 1 minute to kind of throw the flag, if you will. The U.S. came back and says, we have video evidence that is conclusive, that establishes that the head coach of Team USA Gymnastics, filed the inquiry 47 seconds after the published score.
I need video. Can we have the video?
And again,
where's the security footage?
You have to have this within a minute. U.S. is saying we did. It was 47 seconds. And by the way, big shots, we have conclusive video evidence. If nothing else, how stupid is it that 3 and 4 days later, you're going to strip a bronze medal and then give it to somebody else?
Yeah.
It's just, it's asinine, it's dumb, it's stupid. I don't know how many names to call it. It's unbelievable why they would do that, and it's unbelievable why they would do that on a Sunday while there's 3 and 4 great events going on, and you're hours away from the closing ceremony. So the IOC, bleep off.
It's still up in the air, right?
Well, it's still up in the air. I mean, if we have conclusive video evidence, I would imagine that would be pretty black or white, would it not? We filed it. It's 47 seconds after. Like, what did they see as IOC to go 4 days without figuring this out? Come on. This is like the NFL. You know, there's a bad call at the end of a game. It's like, we got to, what could happen, to change the game? Didn't the Pacers
makes the 2-minute report look good.
Did they put a game up that they just challenged? Wasn't it again? Was it a Knicks game? Don't I remember that during the season? Or maybe the Knicks did that. Someone protested an NBA game.
I think it was for some reason Knicks and Rockets are standing
and it
up.
never works in this country, and it shouldn't work with the IOC. So that's my go to the week.
This. Let's just go here. Who scored higher? Childs or the Romanian girl? Childs, right?
Yeah. Done.
Done.
Yeah.
That's how
I don't care if they figured it out 20 seconds
or
if they figured it out 90 seconds later.
But it's like, do they physically have to get that bronze from her? Like, not from my cold dead hands.
Yeah.
If I'm Jordan Childs.
Hitting the next direct flight to the U.S.
I'm sending it to my uncle or my aunt, and they're not going to find him.
My lowercase goat, just the Olympics being over overall. I really enjoyed it. So many memorable performances.
I'm with you.
Simone Biles, Lily King's supposed swan song. We had the Pommel Horse Wonder Boy, Steven Adrosic,
the nerd with
Chris
the glasses.
Giuliano, Sarah Bacon, Chloe Diger, Katie Ledecky, Suni Louie, Noah Lyles, Sha'Carri Richardson, Kate Douglas, Yusuf Dicek, the turkey shooter,
Mark
the team
prepared.
U.S. and women's basketball team.
Have you gone
Bob,
to Cole
the
Hogger
cap
yet?
catcher. You had Ray Gunn. We have so many memorable storylines from this Olympics.
Rudy
And I'm very
Gobert
sad
doing
to see it
something
go.
to Joel Embiid that looks like it'd be illegal in a couple of different
We had the
establishments.
DX Croc chops by Joel Embiid. Yeah, I'm very sad it's over. We had a lot of very interesting people we wouldn't have known about, a lot of very interesting stories, and I was thoroughly entertained these last 2 weeks.
Because right now in the Bowen household, we are either let's turn on some preseason football or let's turn on Love Island. We need a happy medium.
Oh, God.
That's where we're at. And the Olympics provided that for us for 2 weeks.
It did.
And now I got to wait 2 more years? The winter games are just not the same.
No, you and the missus could watch that at night.
Literally.
The only thing we have in common is The Office at night. And they're that's on a station somewhere all the time. I feel like I've seen each one of those 900 times.
I'm sad to see it go.
I'm with you, Mark. I thought it was great. I loved it. I got into so many of the different sports, and it was a great Olympics. LA 2028. We're in Italy, right? 26 for the Winter Games.
I believe that's
correct. Did you see
yeah.
Tom Cruise?
I didn't watch any of the closing ceremonies outside.
Basically, they're like, we're America. Who are we throwing out there? Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Tom Cruise.
And the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
We debated this a few weeks ago. We think, or at least I think this. I think you'll get a Phelps, Biles hand the torch to Vanessa Bryant or vice versa. Maybe Vanessa Bryant hand the torch to Phelps and Biles.
That's a pretty good one.
Co-lighting.
Is Magic Johnson involved somewhere? Jerry West passed away, obviously.
Magic probably involved at some point in the final few torch bearers, right? I don't know. Maybe would it be outright Magic?
I just love.
Think about everything that went around him.
I know.
In the 92 games.
I know. I just laughed. They're like, who represents America in LA? And somehow it's still Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Somehow it's still Death Row Records.
If Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg are lighting the torch, we got issues.
Snoop Dogg's showing up in LA. I'm like, are we done now? Is he finally like over with his performance?
We have to hope.
If he got $500,000 a day, that's pretty good for him, man.
Gosh,
I'm not sneezing at that.
Now
God
you want to know
bless
what's
him.
wrong with the IOC in our country? There you go. Mark, we got a giveaway in the pop quiz. Did you say that earlier?
Yeah, it's tickets to Wham Fest, which is at Greenwood. It's the Wine, Arts, Music, and Microbrew Festival this weekend at Craig Park in Greenwood.
Oh, that sounds
so
like that's
I don't know much about art, but I know a lot about micro
let's go.
hand wine. So yeah, sign me up for
that.
that.
So it's a pair of tickets all week long to
Nice.
Wham Fest in Greenwood.
I looked it up. It's family friendly too, so you can for me, I can take an 11-month-old out there.
Yeah, I was
Say no
looking at
more.
some of the vendor lists. There's lots of good restaurants, lots of good breweries on this list. So yeah, count me in.
317-239-1070 for that. Go ahead and give us a call. We'll do the pop quiz here in a few. Let's go ahead and check it down. Someone did throw out the it'll be Caitlyn Jenner as the one to light the torch. You want to debate that tomorrow? Should we lead off tomorrow's show with that?
That's going to be 4 years of hot takes.
Should we save that for 7:01 tomorrow
I
morning?
think we probably.
Okay. We'll save that for tomorrow morning.
Lord.
How
That
did
might
I
be
not
our
even
most
think
listened
of
to
that?
show coming up tomorrow.
Oh,
Everybody on the
goodness.
edge of your seat for
Man,
tomorrow morning.
That is going to be
7:01.
so talked about. 34-30, your final preseason game number 1 in the books. The Broncos over the Colts. Let's give you some sound surrounding Anthony Richardson. First game back for him in 308 days. Here's your head coach, Shane Steichen, talking about AR postgame.
It's always good to get those guys out there in game-like, situations, obviously, before we go out there. I mean, they got 2 reps, like we said, last year together, so to get a few more there. Obviously, we got a big week coming up against Arizona. These joint practices are going to be big for our starters, so excited about that.
Okay, so Anthony Richardson, if he felt anxious returning, here's what he had to say.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Throughout this whole process, I've been anxious to do a lot of things, just practice, put my helmet back on. So it's just taking it step by step, day by day. And, today we had a game and, it just felt good just being out there again.
2 random names that had good days yesterday. Let's go with Adetomiwa Adebare, the 4th-round pick out of Northwestern from a couple years ago. A couple nice moments there as a defensive tackle. And then this one, certainly if you saw any highlights of the Colts game, Micah Abraham had the strip and the fumble return for a touchdown there in the second half. That would be your 6th-round pick out of Marshall, the cousin of Tim Jennings. So a little Colts flavor there for that one. A couple of random Colts that had some nice days, and we've obviously broken down a lot from the Colts preseason opener. Back to Grand Park Wednesday and Thursday. Those are 6 o'clock joint session start times against the Arizona Cardinals. Those 2 teams will then meet in the preseason coming up on Saturday night. All right, go ahead, Mark.
Final time. Oh,
gosh, I might get emotional.
I know.
We've covered so much of it. Did you guys see the 5-man All-Olympic team for the men's basketball tournament? I didn't know that they did this.
I didn't know they did either. Who was
Steph
on
Curry,
it?
LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, and Denise Schroeder.
Oh, okay, I was wondering who the 5th guy was going to be.
Maybe Franz Wagner was very good for Germany.
Yeah, he was
get like a pay bump for that, like making the All-NBA team or something? How's that work?
Probably not.
Don't know if there's a contract debate.
What about Bogdanovich? I wonder how he did. I wonder how close he was.
And honestly, Wembanyama he had some great moments in the gold medal game. For France, they were very balanced, really. And the dude that looked like Ben Wallace, he was incredible against us.
He did look like the
I'm like,
fake
he's
Ben
got to
Wallace.
get an NBA contract, right?
You would think so. I like Wemby, but Wemby shooting 25-footers is exactly where the Americans wanted him, right? He can't get the rebound, and that's a low percentage shot for him.
Did he hit the first one? He hit one early. I'm like, oh my gosh, are we about to see like the moment for the next, star, obviously, of basketball? But unbelievable, the men's gold medal game and really the women's gold medal game. Looked like for a while there, you're going to have your Notre Dame UCLA 88-game win streak moment, but the U.S. was able to stave off that. 61 straight wins for the U.S. women's national team when it comes to Olympic competition. And U.S. women's soccer, they beat Brazil. Listen, Aaron goal, incredible throughout their run there. And they played their real players. The men go the younger route. The
25
women
and under, right?
do not. And so, that was a legit win because remember, the U.S. women's national team did not win the World Cup
right
last cycle there. So not a foregone conclusion they would win gold, but they did that on Saturday. I ran into Jimmy Cook on Saturday.
Oh, no,
Did I tell you this?
He was out and he was watching the game outdoors at a bar or something, was he not?
Yeah, so we had a little charity run walk in the morning for one of my wife's friend's daughters.
You were doing all the walking, I would imagine.
Up in Carmel. A lot of walking. I think.
Okay.
Well, I think for 90% of it, we pulled up the rear.
Okay.
At one point, Max Bowen's literally on the ground just crying in the middle of a neighborhood. I'm like, geez, all right, get on my shoulders. Here we go for a half mile. But yes, all of a sudden, we stop at Sun Kink in Carmel. I'm like, I need a beer.
Sure.
On the way out, Jimmy Cook decked out in his American jersey, watching with his wife. They're front and center in downtown Carmel.
Well, good. Was he doing the "I believe that we will win" chants or
We
leading
left
the charge?
right
or?
before. Was it Mallory Swanson? Is that who scored
Yes.
the goal?
Yep.
We
Dansby's
left
wife.
right before that. But I can assure you, Carmel PD was probably needed to calm Jimmy Cook down.
Did he have like an over/under or something probably going as well?
I think you had like the Carmel. I assume it was their high school soccer team watching there, and they were like juggling the ball like during the game. I'm like, wow, this is no wonder Carmel wins all these medals here in the Olympics. And then there's Jimmy Cook yelling at the TV.
Oh, good for them. I like that. Good for them. Let's see here. Just a couple other scores. The only other preseason game that was yesterday, Rams over the Cowboys 13-12. So at least here in Indy,
So was that the Brady debut?
Was it? I guess it was.
No, it wasn't.
Tom Brady?
I thought someone said that was Brady's telecast debut.
No, his debut is going to be Dallas and Cleveland in week 1.
Yeah, does anyone have the right to a preseason game other than like if it's a night game? I don't know the answer to that. I would
just
imagine
thought
no.
standalone yesterday it was like some big game.
Quickly, Major League Baseball. Reds do get one from Milwaukee. It's a good weekend for Joel A. Erickson and the Brewers. 4-3 your final there. Cubs and Cardinals today. Reds and Guardians as well. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
All right, pop quiz time. A chance to win those tickets we were talking about. Should be a fun time there in Greenwood. 317-239-1070. Load them up. Pop quiz coming up next.
All right, give us a call for the pop quiz, 317-239-1070, and we are giving away, it's just 2-pack or 4-pack? I kind of forget.
It's
2-pack.
It's a 2-pack, yes.
Pair of tickets to the Wham Fest down in Greenwood here coming up this weekend. So we've got that to give away here all morning long. A little microbrewery action, a little wine action there. Family friendly is what we have discovered. So sounds like a fun time with the fam. We're giving that away all weekend long here, or all week long, I should say, on the pop quiz.
239-1070. So people are calling it out. Mark's taking those. Can I ask you one other thing emanating from preseason game number 1, KB, that we didn't get to? The only thing kind of on my sheet that we did not get to. The new kickoff rule. Or just the new kickoff in general. What did you think watching it up close? I want to see this season. I'm fine with it. I'm good with it. It was a dead play. It's no longer a dead play. Gould broke one at the end there. I know early on it was Flowers who got the initial touches, right?
Yeah,
Dallas
and
Flowers.
he took one like a yard or two deep, kind of backpedaling. I assume he was under the, telling from the coaches of, you bring everyone out.
Well, yeah. If not, it was a stupid play.
Because we want to evaluate.
We want to evaluate the play.
Teamers.
Yeah. Am I wrong? I guess here's my question, and this is not because he had a good return later in the game. Am I wrong wanting to see Anthony Gould back there and for him to be the guy who handles the kickoff returns? I mean, I guess it's me dismissing Dallas Flowers, but I want to see, I want Gould to be that guy for the Colts. I don't know why.
Based off how the kickoff is now, you need 2 guys back there.
Well, you need 2 guys, yeah.
So I think that is going to play into it. The Colts have been drilling 2 guys back there throughout camp. To me, if you're going to have Flowers on the 53-man roster, he's got to have some role if he's not playing.
He's got to do something,
and again, he's not playing. Normally, Dallas Flowers would not be a starter. Yes, he's only 1 play away, but he's your 4th corner. So I would think he would be the other guy, maybe like an Evan Hall or another running back. Maybe you could throw out Tyler Goodson, for example, you could throw out there, but that will be something to continue to watch. And I am curious, too, are we seeing teams hold anything back with their kickoff strategy?
That's a great question.
I think absolutely.
Because I think you are going to see some interesting kickoffs and trying to ball placement a little bit in that landing zone area to try and help out your team. Again, this is really nerdy, but I do think that's some of the stuff we're going to see here once the regular season arrives.
One other thing on this, and we have a full bank of calls, is Steichen, and we didn't play this down, Steichen was asked about it after the game and saying, we're going to keep working on it. Didn't really give an answer to it. He did say that there was something that happened in the Chiefs-Jags game that interested him. Then he didn't say what it was. Did you see what happened? Because I went and looked it up. The biggest difference with all of this, besides the landing zone, I mean, all this is different, but one thing the fans need to know, because the Chiefs player did not know this, if you kick the ball in the end zone and it lands in the end zone, it's not a dead play. That ball is alive. So what happened in the Kansas City-Jacksonville
Which I think is different
game,
than high school and college, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly. So what happened in this game was the ball hit in the end zone. Both the Chiefs players, for a second, they're like, okay, it's a dead play. Then one of them realized, oh, wait a minute, it's not a dead play. By then, the ball was sitting at about the half-yard line. He went in and he grabbed the ball. He had his knee in the end zone, and the ball was at the half-yard line, and he was holding the ball. Jacksonville challenged it. Who's their head? Doug Peterson challenged it and was right. It was a safety. So just something worth watching is all this is very new. The ball hits in the end zone. It's not a dead play. It's always been a dead play in the NFL. It's not any longer.
All right, give us a number 1 through 8 here for the pop quiz.
Let's go caller number 4, Mark. How does that sound?
Mark,
caller 4 is Elijah.
Elijah.
What's going on, guys?
Elijah, how are you on this Monday morning?
Doing great. The mailman's out. The weather's nice. It's going to be a good day.
Elijah, it is absolutely gorgeous outside. We hope you had a great weekend. Congrats on the Wham Fest ticks. Good luck on the pop quiz.
All right, Elijah, let's go here. Let's get that oil change. Question number 1:
somewhat speedy here.
Yes, the Paris Olympics are over with the United States winning the medal count at 126. 40 of those were gold. Who was second to the United States in total medals at the 2024 Olympics? China. Good enough for me.
Elijah, the U.S. women's basketball team defeated France 67-66 in the gold medal yesterday. How many Olympics in a row have the U.S. women won the gold in basketball?
Ooh.
You're not going to give them the options?
I want to say I was 3 years old the last time they lost in the Olympics. Elijah, 6, 7, 8, or 9 straight.
I'm going to go 9.
Question number 3.
Math off the top of his head there.
He tried to.
Difficult.
5 players have won 4 Olympic medals in men's basketball, but only one of them has won 4 gold medals. Is it LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, Janai Volnov? Boy, I butchered that. I had to.
What in the...
Wasn't ready for that name.
I'm glad you did that.
I was not ready for that name.
4 golds. You said Carmelo was a choice? I'll go Carmelo.
His mom is very happy about this.
Oh, my God. Kevin Durant.
I love Elijah living and dying with it. All right, Colts fell to the Broncos in yesterday's preseason opener. This is a sad state for the run game yesterday. Who was the leading rusher for the Colts? Was it Evan Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Goodson, or Jason Bean? It wasn't even close.
Jason Bean.
You damn right. It really wasn't close.
He can move, to be fair.
Hall, Goodson, and Taylor all 2.0 yards per carry.
15 carries for 34 yards.
There you go. Have
backs.
yourself a day, Jason Bean. Last one, 50 years ago today, these 2 players became the first teammates to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame on the same day. Was it Satchel Paige and Lou Boudreau, Whitey Ford and Mickey Mantle, Chick Hafey and Jesse Haynes, or Roy Campanella and Sandy Koufax? Good luck.
What is this, dude? What is this? Dude, I know maybe
Just
2 of those players. Just give me Sandy Koufax and whoever you said.
Roy Campanella.
I don't even think I can name like 3 of the guys that went in this year, let alone from 50 years ago.
And honestly, I agree. Elijah and I, we are cheersing a beer at the Wham Fest for that. Congrats on the tickets there. I agree with you on that. And what did he get, 3 or 4 up to that point?
Yeah, he got number 1. China was second to us. He got number 2 wrong. It was 9. It was 8 straight times. He said 9. He got Kevin
61
Durant.
straight wins.
He got Jason Bean. And number 5 is Whitey Ford and Mickey Mantle.
Of course.
Why
not?
It was. Was not Jesse Haynes and Chick Hafey. Was not that. So let's take a break one final time. We'll wrap up Monday's show next.
Tomorrow morning, you will hear Juju Brents with us, the Warren Central product. We caught up with him after practice on Friday. Pretty much everything we asked him wasn't very time sensitive, and so we'll play that coming up on tomorrow's show. Did you see Caitlin Clark in Yankee Stadium this weekend?
I did see that. A little jersey swap with Aaron Judge.
So she didn't throw out the first pitch? Or she did?
Oh, I do not know that. Did she not?
I just assumed.
Why would she not?
Right, I just assumed when I saw it all, like, she'd be throwing out the first pitch, but then I felt like I would have seen that come across my social media, and I did not.
I'm Googling it right now, and I don't see anything, so I guess she was just there in the Big Apple, probably meeting people.
Gosh, Aaron Judge is massive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the dude's built like a tight end or a D end or something like that. By the way, speaking of D ends, you see what Latu was wearing? The big poofy wardrobe he was wearing into Lucas Oil yesterday.
Latu,
it's probably Gucci like or something.
Latu's game wardrobe is interesting too.
Oh, it's gonna be.
He shows the belly button a little bit.
Okay, well,
in practice, rolls up the jersey a little bit.
Yeah, well,
and hell,
he can do that.
Slippery stuff. By the way, Fever back in action coming up
Friday.
Right? So you want to think about those Olympians. I think 3 Mercury players on the U.S. Olympic team. That's a quick turnaround.
Yes, it is.
To play, and that's good news for the Fever. Friday and Sunday for the Fever before they've got a couple days off.
Yeah, you feel like like Asia Wilson or Brianna Stewart, you want to catch their teams early on, do you not, given that they played so much? So good stuff, good Colts reaction today. If you missed any of it, 1075thefan.com. Check out the podcast. We're back at it tomorrow at 7 a.m. Jake and Jimmy coming your way at noon, JMV at 3. Have a good afternoon right here on The Fan.